Good morning, and welcome to this your sunrise safari here, hopefully with some leopards. This is Safari Live. Dawn has broken here in the northeastern corner of South Africa, possibly the world's most beautiful country. My name is James Henry. On camera today, Brian the Thumb.
Wonderful.
Saturday morning Thumb.
Exactly.
Yes, very nice. Very formal Saturday morning, Brian. Yes. On the other vehicle, Tayla is driving around with VM Dorenbrak, who is looking more and more like a hobbit every day, I find. It's very pleasant to be back with you here in South Africa, in the Kruger National Park, iconic national park of Africa, one of the oldest, and certainly a different landscape from when I last spoke to you from the depths of the Mara in Kenya. No one is better than the other, but I must say it is very different, and it's such a pleasure to be back here, given that there's been a bit of rain, lots of greenery around, and the offing of Karula, apparently, according to Brian, in a tree over there. Let's go and have a look. Now, while we drive gently over that way, please do talk to us during the course of the drive. Hashtag Safari Live questions at WildEarth.tv. For those of you who do not know, and perhaps you're a new viewer, it would be wonderful to have you with us. I hope that you will talk to us, give us your comments and impressions of what you're seeing here. You can ask us questions about what it is that we do here. You can ask us questions about traveling to Africa, because many people are filled with an irrational fear of what will happen to them should they come to the dark continent. Oh. But you shall be overjoyed if you come to this continent, especially if we manage to find you a leopard, which was very kindly found by Herbert yesterday, apparently. Brian, where are we going? There, at the base of this tree, everybody. I do hope the great queen is at the base of this tree right now. Hello, James Richard. While we look for this leopard, you want to know if I can describe the smell of the landscape after the rain. I would say the greatest difference from when it hadn't rained is that there's a lack of dust in the air. And please excuse the brakes on Rusty. A lack of dust, which means that everything smells kind of fresh and clean. Obviously without the smell of detergent or anything like that. I don't see a leopard here. Let me just stop and have a listen and see if we can hear the crunching of bones. No, I do not hear the crunching of bones. But it might be a little bit further up the drainage line, so we'll carry on doing that. So James, there's a slight smell of petrichor, but that's probably been washed away as well. Petrichor, for those of you who don't know, one of my favourite words, taught to me by some of our viewers. And that, of course, is this universal smell of the soil after rain. Various theories for why it comes out, but it's largely, we think, to do with aromatic oils being released from the soil and in association with the fungus, believe it or not. Alright, while we see if we can find Karula around here somewhere, let's go and say good morning to Tayla and find out what her plans are for the sunrise.
Hello, good morning everybody. It is a wonderfully chilly, cloudy day here in the Sabi Sands, and my name is Tayla, and on camera with me this morning we've got VM. Hello VM. Now, our plan today is to try and find the nkuhumas. Over the last few days we've noticed how thin they've got. I'm actually just going to stop because I don't want to squash any tracks, and they were looking particularly hungry. I know yesterday you left them on the move, so possibly they have gone off to do a hunt. Now, we had a little bit of rain last night, as James was describing, the morning smell after the rains, and seems as though it has squashed the tracks of the lions, so they obviously moved before the rain. The rain came through quite late last night. Only at about 1 o'clock did we have a really decent shower. Now, this is the tricky part, is hopefully we're either going to bump into them, or maybe they moved around after the rain and left some footprints. So that is our plan. We're just checking around where we last saw them, and you know the nkuhumas, they don't stop until they catch something. Remember yesterday morning they were after some zebra, but unfortunately they were not successful in that attempt. But possibly they were successful last night with all that cloud cover, with the little bit of wind, the rain, the thunder, of course. That would have muffled quite a bit of sound. I'm just dangling my head over the road. You see, I've still got my spotlight. I'm just shining down the road so I can illuminate the ground, and hopefully that'll show me some tracks. But it doesn't seem like anything just yet. Oh, I can't, we're right, we have a bit of a roadblock. So we're just going to go the other way very quickly. Yes, so we're going to just go around, and we're going to go the other way now. Oh yeah, my mouth is hidden behind my waterproof jacket. I think I'm being a bit ambitious, thinking that we're going to get some rain this morning. I don't think we are. I think later this afternoon we may get another shower or two, which is quite exciting. You can see the clouds, you can see me driving all over the show. Right. I think what we may actually do is, I think we're going to go right back to where I remember seeing the cubs, and where apparently the cubs were left last night. I think that will be a good spot to see. Maybe they didn't catch anything, and maybe they've actually just returned to their old home. Especially that I don't have any footprints to go on. It is making it quite difficult, and I could just be driving around for quite some time before I end up finding anything. So we will go back to the last places they were seen. We checked this junction where VM and Brent left them last night, and unfortunately, not VM and Brent, sorry, VM and Jamie. But unfortunately, there's absolutely no tracks thanks to the rain. Not that I'm complaining though. We'll get these lines. I'm hoping we will. They're normally always out and about, so we're going to go around back to Tayla access. And we're going to have to try and find that 2-track that we've all been off-roading on. We didn't get very much rain, only a few mils of rain, so it's still okay to off-road, in case you were wondering. We don't normally off-road after 10 mils of rain. We try and give it 24 hours just to let the ground soak up all that lovely moisture, and to allow the ground to harden again. Imagine if you have quite a bit of rain, like 10 mils of rain, it's very silly to go driving off-road, as you're just going to leave a prominent 2-track going through the bush, and that's what we try to not avoid. That's what we try to avoid, sorry. But I think those few drops, it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to give the grass a little bit of sustenance and be able to keep it going again, and let it grow a few more inches. Right, I'm trying to go around as quick as I can so we don't waste any time. I suppose I can put that down because I've checked this road already. Over we go. Now it's getting quite chilly. The clouds have started to move. It was very warm this morning when I woke up. And they seem to be lifting up slightly. That's why I said to you, I don't think we're going to get too much rain. Right, while I carry on, and I am going to have to go through some treacherous bush, let's go back to the Mara man himself and see how his Karula search is going.
I think calling me the Mara man is slightly, well, it's very gracious, of course, but I was only there for a total period of about 10 days, which isn't a very long time at all. Anyway, here we are, back in South Africa, looking for leopards, which was the one thing we didn't really see. We saw one leopard, just not live. Now, oh, you silly bird. There was a lovely little bird sitting there, but it's flown away. Now, we're just trying to figure out exactly where this leopard was, and we have now modified our approach. We've come to a slightly different tree, and we're hoping that this is where the queen is. Come on, Queenie. I haven't seen Xongile and Hosana for some time. Okay, Brian says very confidently, this is the one. So we're looking for the unfortunately hapless draped corpse of a duiker, or a leopard draped from a tree, or a leopard's spots in the undergrowth. What do you see, Brian? No, I see not much at all. I see much tree. I see no carcass hanging from the tree. Well, these are the trees that the carcass were in, or underneath. Okay, let's ease our way down here. Of course, you can't ease your way when the brakes make the most horrendous noise like they do now. And thank you all for your very kind welcome backs. It's nice to be back, I must say. There's the old cliche goes, there's no place like home. Oh, come on, don't let me down, Queenie. I have missed you very deeply. Hello, Cheryl. That's a good question. You say, is it kind of a letdown to be back in the Sabi Sands? Cheryl, it isn't a letdown at all. I mean, you've qualified that by saying after all of the animals of the Mara. Cheryl, it's not a letdown, no. It's very different. It's no better and no worse, but it certainly is very different. And I'll tell you, one of the great advantages of operating in Kenya was the fact that there aren't trees like this, which means that you can drive off-road much more easily than you can here. Let's turn off and have a listen. While I'll talk quietly in case I hear the crunching of bones. Cheryl, it's different. It's just completely different. It's almost apples and oranges, really. It's a wonderful wilderness area. Yes, the abundance isn't the same. And the more and more I look at it, the more I think that has a lot to do with human intervention. You know, people with rather closed minds around the Kruger National Park for a very long time. And just listening. And they put artificial water in everywhere. They think they culled elephants in order to try and keep their numbers down. They culled buffalo because they thought that was a good thing to do. Whereas those big East African ecosystems, which are actually no bigger than this, in fact they're smaller in some respects than the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, of which the Kruger is part, there's been so little human interaction there and so little interference. And I think that's one of the reasons they have so many more animals. The other reason is, of course, that they have much more recent volcanic activity. That means the soil is much more fertile and the grasses are therefore that much more nutritious and can support that much more in the way of animal life. I don't think this leopard is here anymore. She and her babies have absconded. How very sad, Brian. Yes. Anyway, we'll try and find her regardless, and whatever else we might be lucky to see. The other thing, Cheryl, is that I think the abundance of animals there is slightly exaggerated by the fact that there aren't trees, which means that if you look to the left, there's a massive space, there are no trees, and so you're going to see an animal. Whereas here, of course, it's woodland. This is woodland, it's not grassland, it's not savanna, and that means, of course, that you're going to, eventually you're going to see trees rather than animals all the time. So I think that carrying capacity, the number of animals there is exaggerated. No. Let's do a little foray along the drainage here. Thing is, after the rain, of course, is that her tracks will have been fair obliterated by the rain. We did have some rain last night, by the way. I keep forgetting, of course, that you don't all live right here. And there was a large storm, a very loud cannon crash of thunder at about 3 o'clock this morning. And that brought with it a little bit of rain. It didn't rain very heavily, but the storm was quite impressive. I'm just going to have a quick peer into the bushes here because we might be lucky. Hello Karen, you say you're so glad the Sabi sand is getting more rain. I am too. Just remember everybody that the rain here as far as game viewing goes is a mixed blessing. And as Brent has been saying, I don't know if he's been saying it to you, but he's certainly been saying it to the rest of us, that a drought of course is easy game viewing time, mainly because the water's concentrated, so animals are coming down to the water all the time, and also because there are no leaves and very little in the way of thick bush, which means that the game viewing here at Djuma over the last little while has been rather spectacular, especially given that the lions have sort of been rather sedentary. They've kind of moved in to that area between Hyena Road and Gowrie Cutline, and that's because the buffalo there, some of the last grass that there is, now they're going to start spreading out. The lions will start to move, and so while the rain is a great blessing for us who are particularly fascinated by game viewing, I think things are going to be, well, we just need to appreciate that we've had a really good time of it. Alright, let's head across to Tayla, find out how her lion search is going. I'm going to give this area the once over, and we'll see if the queen doesn't pop out at some stage.
So we just heard some zebra alarm calling. Now I did see quite a few zebra tracks coming. Sorry, I just want to check here. I see some zebra tracks again. So I saw some zebra tracks coming from where the lions were last seen, and I heard some zebra alarm calling on quarantine. I'm just trying to find them. We're just scanning around here. They didn't alarm just once, they alarmed 3 times, which is a little bit suspicious. So I can't see the zebra just yet, but we want to have a very quick look just to make sure that perhaps there's no buffalo around, and perhaps the lions were going for something slightly smaller. It sounded like it was coming from around here. I'm going to do an entire lap around the quarantine though, just to make sure. It did start going in that 2 track where the lions were last seen, or where the cubs were last seen. And I didn't make it all the way because I rushed out to hopefully find what these zebras were alarming at, but no luck just yet. We're just making our way around. I'm also still looking for tracks, but it doesn't seem like anything has been walking around here. Well, after the rains, perhaps there could have been a big party before the rains came, and now the water has washed away all that evidence, which makes our search just that much harder. But never fear, we will carry on. But the birds are out today. Seems as though we've got lots of Cape glossy starlings. Now it's not going to be the greatest, I'm afraid, because of the cloudy weather, but there you go, you can see a Cape glossy starling, and there were quite a few of them. However, we'll be looking up at the grey sky, which won't be too pleasant, and I think they're quite happy that the rain is now gone, so they can dry off their feathers. You can see this one is preening itself, realigning and rehooking all those hooks in their feathers, which are so important for flying. But unfortunately the Cape glossy starling's colour, there it goes, and now it's gone. Their colour really doesn't do them too much justice on a cloudy day like today. We know that the starlings look like my water bottle, very much that colour, but mine doesn't go dark in the shade, I'm afraid. Right, let's carry on. We know the birds are always going to be here. Let's see if we can find these alarming zebra. Oh, lots of them, lots and lots of impala tracks here. They seem to be the only ones really moving around, and a couple of zebra tracks. Right, hopefully we'll be able to see once we get a little bit higher. I almost need to climb a termite mound and be like the kudus and use it as a vantage point. Or if I was a skillful tree climber like James, then I could climb a marula right to the tippy top and see the entire Sabi Sands from up there. Good morning, Dina. I hope you're having a lovely day with us this far. And I know Dina said that there was a hyena on the camera, the dam cam, about 30 minutes ago. Now, Dina, I must tell you, I know exactly which hyena that is. Not one of the characters, I'm unsure. However, I did hear Geraldine this morning while I was having a shower screaming at the top of her lungs trying to chase a hyena out of camp, and I presume that was probably the same hyena. It was so exhausted after running away with Geraldine in hot pursuit that it needed to go and have a drink of water after that. I'll go and check. Unfortunately, there are some guests in camp still. They'll probably be out in the next few minutes, and then I'll be able to go and pop around and have a look, and maybe we'll be lucky to find that hyena. Haven't really been seeing too many around at the moment. They just seem to be coming in under the cover of the darkness and then leaving again. Okay, and I can't see any zebra here. I don't know where they are and where those alarms were coming from. Maybe they were still in the thick bushes. But I'm just going to go back to where I had the very fresh zebra tracks. Let's see over here. Just looking into the distance, I think I could possibly see a zebra, but it also might not be. I don't want to get too excited just yet, but there's definitely no zebra on quarantine, so I'm wondering where on earth those alarm calls were coming from. Quite bizarre. So they must be in the thick vegetation hiding away. Right. Let's go back around again. And it seems a little bit silly that I'm driving the same roads over and over and over again, but I know that all the guides will agree with me. Sometimes you can drive the same road 10 times, but on the 11th time you'll find what you're looking for. The animals move, and when they move through this thick vegetation, sometimes you don't see them, and it takes a few times before you can get up. But we've got some impala up in front. We're going to have a quick look at them. Now they've done a big loop. They've gone from where we were. We did a big loop on the most southwestern corner of quarantine clearing, and now they've come around over here. But now you're going to where the lions were, impala. Oh, we've got lots of animals here. We've got a lovely herd of impala, which you can see just there, walking away. And then I've got something even better than an impala. I've got two really beautiful Inyala bulls. Let's see if they want to be seen. Impala, I know you're not going to go far because there's about 150,000 million of you. Look at that. How... No! Come back! I was just telling everybody how beautiful you are, and then you looked at us. You can see everybody's grooming themselves. Everyone's got a top wet coat this morning. Isn't that a lovely specimen? Now, these Inyala seem to be slightly nervous. They don't want to hang around and pose as nicely as they were when I first pulled up. Typical. But they might walk out in front of the road. I think they could maybe do that. Yes. We're going to get a lovely view of this Inyala. I take that back. It was just me being very impatient this morning. Look at those colors. I love those contrasting rust-colored legs that they have. Beautiful. Now, he's not quite as big as the other male, so I can't wait for the other bull to walk through. Because he really is lovely. But look at those markings, almost look as if they were painted there. They're so perfectly positioned on his face. Isn't nature amazing how it is able to just pinpoint and put everything just in the right spot? Now here comes the really big bull. Now he's quite impressive. He's got a lovely set of horns on him. You can see his mane on the back just slightly standing up. And that's probably my favorite antelope to watch when they do... Oh, hang on. Sorry, I thought I heard some contact calling, but it's not. Now, I was saying that this is one of my favorite antelopes to watch them do their display, the male Inyala, before they fight, how they size each other up and they erect all the hair on their body, that lovely mane, and then they curl their tail up. The hair under their chin also stands up quite nicely, or just erects a little bit more, and then they do those slow, exaggerated movements. It's quite stunning. Now, they're not very aggressive animals, not very much like bushbuck and waterbuck, which I've both seen stabbing each other not great. These chaps do that lovely movement. And then from there, they're quite placid. If one is much larger, then that one will win. I've only seen Inyala fighting once. You can see all the lovely new green leaves coming through on all the trees. And of course now the Inyala can move away from the grass and go back to what they prefer to eat, which is leaves. They're predominantly browsers. But we did see about a week ago, just after we had the rain, we did see them making use of all that lovely green grass that was coming through, because at that time it obviously had a lot more nutrients than the guarri leaves did and the silver cluster leaves, which was really only the leaves that were left. But now they can move back to what they love. Sort of like shopping day. The deliveries have come through. Of course, Dina. Dina's actually, this is going to be quite fun. Thank you, Dina, for this lovely question. So Dina wants to know if we can look at an Inyala track and if we can look at an Impala track for comparison. I want to wait. There's quite a few of Impala and things moving around, but let's go mark out a Inyala track very quickly, because we know we're going to find lots and lots of Impala tracks all around. Now, I'll tell you what we're going to look for. So an Inyala track is much larger than an Impala's. Something that we're looking for is we're also now looking at the width of the track. Let me find a really nice one. It should be good. Just trying to find a very clear one. Now, of course, do you think I can find one where they walk? Just don't be ridiculous. I can't see any of their tracks now. The sand is quite thick here. Come on, footprints. The Wendy's also feeling much better this morning. Okay, I'm going to have to find you some nice Inyala tracks that have been imprinted in the very thick mud. So perhaps maybe at a dam. What's happened here is because there's a little bit of a wet covering on the ground, and the sand is quite thick. The track is very, very sort of deepened in the sand. It's not that great. As wonderful as it sounds like it's going to be, mud would be better. It just holds the shape of the Inyala track a little bit better. So we'll keep a lookout, Dina. Don't worry, I won't forget. And make sure you keep watching, because if I don't find any this morning, I'm going to keep it in my head, and I'll possibly do it over the next few days as soon as I pick up on a really nice Inyala track. Maybe we'll even try and find a kudu track for you to just show you the common thing that the Tracholachus, so the spiraled horn antelope, foot structure has in comparison compared to something like an Impala. And that's always an easy way to try and work out which track is which, and then you obviously just go on to size, small, medium, large for the bushbuck, Inyala and kudu, and they're fairly similar. But unfortunately there are really no nice ones. There's lots of nice Impala tracks which I will definitely show you. I'll go back because I saw some nice ones. Oh my goodness. Well, hang on, everybody's something's been seen. William, I'm going to get back to your question now. Everything is racing away and has just bolted at about 300 million kilometers an hour, like I don't think I've ever seen. Everybody run that fast. The Inyala are looking. Everybody's displaying. It's quite difficult to see. They're moving through the very thick vegetation. They've all dispersed so quickly. I didn't hear any alarm calls. We're going to go down this road again. We're going to go down Shortcut Gallagher, just because I want to see what they were all running from. There's one Impala still there. Inyala bull, what did you see? And why are none of you alarming that you're all racing away? Right, let's go do a bit of investigating. This is very exciting, because this is obviously where we suspected that the lions were last. That happened so quickly. Literally, I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. They didn't give an alarm. They just were running, but away from something. Just going to take a very slow drive along here. Just keep an eye out. Actually, let's go first. Let's go really slowly. Because we saw that group of impala, they crossed, they didn't go far, they were just really poking their noses in over here. And they could have also just got a fright, I suppose. One of them could have panicked and started leaping away, and that could have just started a domino effect. Let's just poke our noses down the shortcut of Shortcut Gallagher. There's some more impala down there, but they don't look too phased. Let's just have a little look. This is the direction that they all sort of mainly went, and then that's where they went running from. We got impala. Oh, here comes a male. You can see him just through there, and you can see how panicked he is. See, ears. He looked to be breathing quite hard. Now I suspect they're not alarming though, which is bizarre, because normally for something like a leopard or a lion, they will alarm. For even hyenas, cheetah, they will alarm. Let's go around the corner. He's still looking very attentively in that direction. Now I can't go too close, I'm afraid, just because everybody is still not out on game drive. Just want to check, see if I can see any tracks. There's no tracks just yet. He seems to have calmed down that impala a little bit. Let's go on a little adventure and see what has frightened all of the antelope this morning. Making it very easy. Both VM and I are scanning left, right, left, right. Oh, I'm hoping, so I believe that you're all hoping that we're going to see some wild dogs this morning. That's definitely a possibility, because normally antelope will race away like that, especially for something like wild dogs. They know they don't want to hang around. But something big like a lion, normally they'll just run a fair distance away and then stand back and look back at them and snort. Can't see any footprints going over the top. Yeah, more impala. You can just see them through there, through the thicket. Now they look a lot more relaxed. They've got their heads down and they're eating. Now that's not what we want this morning. We want to see the panic in all of the animals. But we'll possibly go have a very quick look at that pan. We may just try and poke our nose around the corner just to have a look. Right, let me be a little bit sneaky and go investigating. And while I do that, let's go back to James, who I believe is back on his vehicle after doing some tracking.
Again, very kind to describe what I was doing as tracking. I didn't find one track. What I did was just wander about the place where the kill had been. I found no sign, not hide nor hair, nor of the duiker that was mercilessly dispatched yesterday, nor of either three leopards. So we're going to drive along this road, which is called Ingwe Alley, which means leopard alley. And we'll see if there are any leopards here. Otherwise we're going to turn around at its junction and go back towards Philemon's cut line. In fact, we'll do a little loop around that way. There's some impala in front of us. First animals of the day, Brian. First, Brian, as our cup runneth over, the ring-necked dove, humble but peaceful bird, sitting on the road.
Wonderful.
Very nice. They are looking for seeds, Brian. And you can see those little bits of grass jumping out of the ground. Well, that is the seed bed in which those doves are foraging. So were you to leave this area for more than 2.5 weeks or so without a car coming on it, that seed bed would sprout forth its grasses. Now that there's a bit of moisture in the surface layer of the soil, and so you might often, especially in a dry time, see doves pecking around in the ground like this. And it's because there are so many seeds in the soil. If you were to take a piece of this sort of spadeful of the soil and put it in a pot somewhere and give it a bit of water, you'd be amazed by the number of species that would grow out of it. That dove looks a little bit corpulent, wouldn't you say, Brian?
Yeah, I bit.
Was waddling slightly. And its cousins singing all around us. Interrupted, of course, by the very loud and, well, metallic sound of the crested francolin. But certainly the bird song that much more enthusiastic, shall we say, since I was last here. But I do not hear the crunching of bones, nor the sawing of leopards, nor the impala alarm calling. So let us continue, Brian. We go on to Twin Dams Road and down towards the south. Liz, you say even with a small bit of rain that we had, I'm just going to turn the game drive radio down, it's very loud in my ear. You say, will it make a difference to the grass, even the small amount of rain? Yes, it does make a difference. And the reason it makes a difference is because the grass roots, and especially the grass roots of the seeds that are going to sprout, must have water in the just in the top layer of the soil. That's where they get their water from. If there's no water there, then that won't happen. 3 millimeters is probably what we probably had a bit more than 3 millimeters. We may have had 5 or 6 millimeters last night, which is about 1/4 of an inch, and that will be enough to provide some impetus. But of course, remember, there is moisture already now in the subsoil because of the 32 mils that we had earlier. That impala is wet. You can see the victim of more than 5 millimeters of rain, so maybe there were areas here where there was a bit more than that. I must confess, I do not remember the francolins being quite this loud ever before. A francolin call in the distance is a very pleasant morning sound. A francolin call next to your left ear, however, is a little bit like a small toddler hitting a pan with a wooden spoon right into your ear. There we see the strange coloration again of the green juxtaposed with the red. It makes you wonder how on earth they could be camouflaged. And as we remember, thanks to Brian, we know that the predators will not see the same contrast that you're seeing there. They see in blues and greens, not so, Brian? Mm-hmm. And therefore that red will be fairly well hidden. As it is now. You see that, Brian? It disappeared completely. Invisible, disappearing David Copperfield impala. Right, let's carry on. There's something else of vital importance I needed to tell you, but I've forgotten what it was. Oh yes, let's have a look at these trees. So this is the Gymnosporia buxifolia, which is the second most wonderful tree name to say. Gymnosporia buxifolia. And Gymnosporia buxifolia, you can see now, has fresh foliage on it. You see that, Brian?
I do.
It's that green stuff.
Amazing.
It's amazingly green. Very spring green. Ooh, that is beautiful. That might make the highlights package, Brian. It's always a highlight, I think, when the trees make the highlights package. And that has not flushed green in response to the water. Remember that a tree gets all of its water from below the surface layer of the soil, which means that it can afford to respond to day length. It can turn green before the rains. So it's a coincidence that this one has gone green at the same time that the rains have arrived. It would have done this anyway. It then would have obviously withered and wilted had there been no rain at all. But it's from well below the surface of the soil that the trees get their water. And that is because they have a
root system.
Tap root system, yes, well done. Yes, good. Okay, on we go. Right, mercifully, we don't have to stare at greenery for too much longer. This is because Tayla McCurdy has managed to find a long-nosed pachyderm.
Hello again. We have got some elephants as we're on our search for the lions this morning. Now, they seem to be moving off into a drainage, so I'm hoping we're going to get another shot of them. But isn't it quite spectacular, as James has pointed out, all this lovely green foliage that is coming through at the moment and complements, I think, the elephants quite nicely. A little splash of colour to their dull brown grey colour that they normally wear. Oh, just hearing some impala. I'm on high alert this morning, so if you hear me go quiet through mid-sentence because I've either thought that I've heard lion, because I've already done that about 3 times this morning, or because I'm listening, waiting for animals to start alarm calling. So it was just some impala. It sounded like they were chasing each other around. But isn't this a beautiful cow? Now, I'm going to try and actually get a little bit of a better position for us. I'm going to just roll back very quickly. Oh no, she's coming towards us, never mind. Now, you can see her mammary glands are swollen. Can you see that? And can you see that full of milk? Now, if you go up to her mid-region, look how swollen she is. Now, there seems to definitely be a calf inside of there. It doesn't look like much now, but she's bulging on either side. So I suspect that she's going to have a calf shortly, possibly in maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months. But she's rather large, which is quite exciting. Always nice to know that when we've had these dire, straight periods where we haven't had too much food and rain, and that the animals are still able to carry on breeding and have calves. Well, there is her calf in front of her, who's a little bit older, seems to be almost about 2 years old or so. But possibly this elephant is very, very fat, if that's its calf. She's got a big bulge on the side, which is unusual because we know that they normally give birth every 3 to 4 years. Sometimes every 4 to 5 years. It just depends on the food availability. But you can see those mammary glands are very much swollen. And that calf is just 2 years old. That's unusual. And we're wondering what's going on here. Now we're looking at this elephant and she's so relaxed with us. She's probably only about 20 meters away. And I've actually pulled off the road for her, hoping she was going to walk past. And I know Peter was wondering why the elephants aren't as relaxed with the vehicles as the cats are. Now, it's bizarre. But the cats, especially the lions, the leopards can be a little bit wary at times. However, I need to very quickly keep up with this elephant. I'm going to reverse. Actually, I think we need to turn around, actually. Let's turn around because they're going to pop out. Oh no, we've got space. I thought she was going to come back out onto the road. So, the cats are very easy to habituate. Like I said, lions a little bit more. It's okay, big girl. Lions more so. It's okay, lovely. We're just coming to watch you, beautiful. She seems to be a little bit stressed. It's okay. You are beautiful. She's got her ears flared at me, but I am talking to her. Hey! Come, stop it now. What's wrong? I'm going to move out of this female's way. She seems to be a little bit stressed. Possibly it is because just watching her. I'm just going to leave my vehicle running. I'm going to see if she does relax. Sorry, I'll get back to your question now. I have got the engine running because Wendy's now decided she doesn't want to start as nicely as she was starting this morning. Okay, that elephant seems to have relaxed quite nice. Now, I'm not going to go too much closer to her. We're going to just leave her alone. We'll have a look at these others that are coming through that you seem to be a bit more relaxed. I am just looking over my shoulder. It's okay, big girl. Now she's calmed down completely. She's eating and she's moving away. She's slightly stressed. So, it's amazing how... There we go, there we go, there she goes. It's amazing how, in fact, the elephants are still a little bit wary of us, even though they are much larger than the lions. And I think that's... Oh, this one's eating nicely over there, another little calf. I think it's just got to do with... I don't know, the lions are very docile animals in a vehicle. And I mean, they would have run away quite a bit in the beginning, and now you just about can drive up to them and scratch them on their heads. I'm just trying to think of an actual legitimate reasoning. I think it's just their entire behavior, perhaps The lions aren't poached as much, whereas remember elephants were heavily persecuted and are still heavily persecuted throughout Africa. Lions too. But perhaps they're still doing a lot of poaching from vehicles, and we don't seem to do that with the lions just yet. It's only a matter of time, I'm afraid. So I think that's probably the reasoning behind it. Even when I was in Zambia and I was working in the Lower Zambezi National Park, oh my goodness, you couldn't get within about 80 meters of the elephants there. Unfortunately, the poaching was really bad, and they were poaching on foot as well as in vehicles and doing all sorts of horrible things. And they would see the vehicles and they would start charging you almost immediately unless you used a pair of binoculars and watched from a distance, and then they would be quite happy to do that. So I think that's possibly the reason, Peter, is just that the fact that elephants unfortunately have been persecuted a lot more. When lions are persecuted, unfortunately, seems to be that they have been bred in a captivity and not really hunted too much out in the wild. But we won't get too much into that. So that's what I think. Leopards, remember, leopards are a little bit skittish still. As lovely as they are, they walk past when they want to. If you were to drive up to a leopard, they get up and they run away from you most of the time, whereas lions are quite a bit more tolerant. So just think that their size, I don't think the lions are too scared of too many things. Obviously, when an elephant or a buffalo is chasing them. I'm going to leave this breeding herd of elephants. It's not a big herd, it's quite small, just purely because it seems as though the matriarch is not too happy with us, so we will give her some space. And the fact that Wendy, who I thought was so well, she just seems to be struggling to start all of a sudden. But maybe she'll warm up again. So we will continue on our search. Right, while I carry on trying to find these furry lions, let's go to James for a little update.
No update here on the leopards, everybody, so we're just kind of going to go for a nice little drive now, I think. We might be lucky. There are further impala over there, Brian. Do you see them there? They don't look particularly panicked, like they've just seen a voracious hunting cat. Or indeed some wild dogs, which I believe we had yesterday. Now, I received a weather report earlier today, which said the following. The temperature today is 12 degrees and 54 degrees, so 12 in centigrade and 54 in Fahrenheit. This was a patent untruth, and it was shown to be so by the fact that someone in the final control confused somewhere near Johannesburg with Djuma, and it is in fact about 18 degrees Celsius here, which puts us at about 65, I imagine. So it's actually quite a pleasant temperature. And look, if you look at that ewe that we are observing now, she is starting to show signs, Brian, of what?
Of pregnancy.
She is pregnant, and she will hopefully produce a lamb not too long from now. Well, probably about 2 months, 6 weeks from now. Today, of course, is the first of the most important month of the year, Brian. Did you know that October was the most important month of the year?
I didn't.
Well, there you are. Why is it the most important month, Brian?
It is your birthday.
It's my birthday month, that is correct, everybody. So you may now start considering what it is you wish to buy me for my birthday. And this is a rather large birthday for me, Brian. I become old this month.
I'm a real man.
I've become a real man this month. What a joy. I've heard a bird, and I'm quite keen to see what bird it is, because I don't recognize the call. Hello, Michael. You want to know about animals licking each other for moisture, or themselves for moisture, and would they do that? Yes, they would, to a certain extent, I imagine, and they don't do it particularly here, because obviously now that we've had some water, there's quite a lot of standing water, and I've seen a few pans, or little sort of clay hollows, that are full of water now, and we're going down to Treehouse Dam to see if the great construction has managed to hold a vast amount of saleable water. By saleable, I mean, water large enough to put a boat on. I don't think it'll be quite that large yet. But Michael, For me, one of the most fascinating things to learn about and to read about is how desert animals adapt to trying to get water. And there's one specific one, or there are a suite of them in Namibia, and tenebrionid beetles. And what they do is, the Namibian ones, is every morning the mist rolls in off the Atlantic because it meets this very cold water, and the air coming off it meets the very hot desert air of the Namibian west coast, and it creates this mist. And what the little beetles do is they sit on the dunes facing the mist, and they stick their backsides in the air, and so that the carapace, which is the back end of a beetle, is facing the mist. And what happens is the mist condenses on the top of the carapace. It then rolls down in a droplet over the head of the beetle, and the beetle then kind of sticks its bottom lip out. Obviously a beetle doesn't have a lip, but you know what I mean. And the drop goes into the beetle's mouth, and that's how they get water. And if you're a beetle, you only need about a drop a day, and that's how they get their water. I don't think there's a huge amount of that happening here, but yes, I suppose there would be a certain amount of water taken by drinking off each other's fur. Right, we are now approaching the great construction that is Treehouse Dam. It doesn't appear to be quite as large as the Hoover Dam. You see that, Brian? We don't have quite as much water in it. Almost. Some parrots calling overhead. Okay, we'll drive onto the top and stop there and see what we can see. No fishes yet, I'm sure. But if there's water standing here for long enough, eventually the catfish will arrive. As may the tilapia. Yes, it's not quite the predicted deluge just yet, for which this great construction was commissioned. Kirsten in the final control, of course, is more sardonic than I am, and she says, very scenic. Yes, well, it isn't quite as scenic as it might be yet, but when it fills up, this dam will be very scenic indeed, especially, Brian, when we are on our little sailboat doing boating safaris. That will be fun, won't it?
It will be. Can't wait.
Do you get seasick, Brian?
I have been once before.
You have been once before.
I was very young on the sea.
Ah.
Didn't have my sea legs yet.
No, quite. And long legs they are. I, of course, have been seasick on a place called Jozini Dam, which, as its name might suggest, is in fact a dam. I should be okay on Treehouse Dam, though.
Oh.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll let it fill up a bit. Right, Tayla has managed to find more animals, so you don't need to listen to Brian and I talking rubbish any longer. We'll continue our search around this way, go and have a look what she's found.
We found the zebra, but not the zebra that we heard alarm calling earlier. This seems to be a bachelor herd, just on the cut line. Now, I did pick up on some lion tracks too, and they seem to have crossed north, but I haven't seen anything coming back just yet, and I didn't see any cub tracks. And it does look like they crossed when there wasn't any rain, because their footprints are covered with lots of sand and lots of water, but you can see it was definitely from last night. And we're going to keep searching the area, and perhaps they did come back. And also, I've been commenting over the last few days, how we seem to just be seeing bachelor herds of zebra around at the moment. I haven't seen a foal in quite some days now. It's just the boys out and about. You can see them all, a lot of the animals. Oh, I heard some more zebra alarming in the distance, but quite far away. And now all the go-away birds are going crazy in the distance. I think we're going to have to move, yeah? Okay, we're going to have to leave the zebra because I can hear lots of go-away birds and all sorts of things shouting just down below us. Let's go and investigate. Now, the go-away birds could be alarming for lots of different things. They could be alarming for snakes, they could be alarming for bird of prey, but I did hear zebra in conjunction with that. The go-away birds do sound slightly closer. Hello impala, a few impala racing away from us. I just want to go down. We're going to go down and along Mvubu Road and quickly check there because that seems to be the drainage that the sounds are all coming from. Also still looking for more tracks. But at the moment it seems like the animals are just taunting us. I just want to listen again. No, come on, Wendy. Right, just wanting to keep listening as we're driving so that I'm on the right road and I'm not veering too far from where I heard those alarming animals. Bit bumpy here, everybody. Very rocky section. Alright, Wendy. So Wendy's been great for the first hour of the show. Now she's giving us hassles again. Come, Wendy. Got to give her lots of juice and rev quite loudly. I must apologize. Having a little look around here. This is where it all sounded like it was coming from. All those alarm calls. If I can see all the go-away birds. Let's show you the go-away birds that are shouting like maniacs. Can you see them all up on that tree? Apologize for the grey skies. Those are the go-away birds that were shouting. They don't seem to be shouting anymore. They seem to now be ruffling their feathers and trying to dry out on this chilly morning. Just going to take a moment very quickly. I just want to listen. Right, now the bush has gone very quiet. Nobody seems to be talking too much. So I think everybody is just playing games. It's like they've all told each other, right, when you see Tayla today, alarm and tease her and get her all excited in the hope to find those lions. They're not being very kind to me today, but we'll carry on down Mvubu Road. Let's go check. They love this drainage, and then we'll go on to Central and we'll go up Garikatlan and then we'll weave down Hyena Road. We're just going to go up and down and check their favorite spots. Maybe they have come back. They could have also just popped across the road and then looped back along again. Like I said, the rain has covered their tracks quite a bit. Oh, what did you see? What did you see? Oh, no, don't. Oh, there's two. Hang on, they've stopped again. Can you see them there? Oh, wow, look at that. We've got two common dacre. We've got a male and a female. The male on the right, well spotted VM, and the female on the left. Now, they're obviously feeling quite amorous at the moment. Normally we don't see them together because they both mark and defend territories, these tiny little antelope, the common dacre. But they come together obviously when they are ready to mate. And how was that camouflage? Isn't that quite spectacular? You can see they're all wet and miserable though. They don't look too happy. Wagging the tail quite a bit there. Maybe there's a few little midges and things that are bothering her, and off she goes into the distance. And I think he's disappeared too. Well spotted, VM. Right. I need to have a good chat on the radio with all the other guides that are out there. Let's head to Mr. James Hendry.
There's a sunbird, Brian. A white black-bellied sunbird, which, if you haven't been seasick before, watching that bird flying will give you seasickness. But there are a few of them around here calling. Let's just stop and see if we can't get one. Now they've stopped calling as the wind has started to blow. It's a very ominous day, isn't it, Brian?
It is. So ominous.
Just tell you what else I can hear, other than the wind. We can hear, of course, the sunbirds. The chip, 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 chip. Did you like that, Brian? Then there's a scimitar in the background. Southern black-tit. A robin. But much sunbird activity around here. Ooh. Brian, tell me if we get break up. But do you see that yellow thing over there? Do you see how yellow it is? I'm going to go and retrieve some of it to see what it is. I suspect it's a Mopani pomegranate. Can you still hear me? Amazing. Now? Ow! And now? Good grief. Everyone, I think this is a Mopani pomegranate. The name, of course, you can still hear me. Good grief. I've forgotten its Latin name, though. Pomegranate. By the time I get back to the vehicle, I expect that you will all have the Latin name and you will tell me. It's beautiful. Still hear me? Mopani pomegranate. Let me see if I can remember it before I get back there. Something Zambeziacum, I think. Trapezium? No. Something Zambeziacum. Just look at these beautiful flowers. Is that not magnificent? Hey? That is the Mopani pomegranate. It doesn't make a fruit that you can eat, but I just think that is beautiful. A splash of colour. There are going to be many, many splashes of colour, of course, over the next little while, as we head towards the summer. I shall keep this. Take it to camp. Has anybody come up with the Latin name yet, Brian?
No.
Oh no. Such a letdown. There we go. Rhigosum zambeziacum. Thank you very much, Kirsten. Beautiful. Otherwise, just a wind blowing here, nothing in the way of leopards. I think that's really special. Let me just, while we're looking at it like this, there are the anthers. They produce the pollen, and then inside there will be the stylus. No, there it is. In fact, I can see it. That there, see that there? That's it there. That's the female part, and that, of course, will catch the pollen. Probably not from the same flower. I think that might be why it sticks up above the same flower, and it will catch pollen from other flowers, and that's how it will breed. The pollen will go down into the bottom there where the ovum is, and the egg, and that's where the fertilization will take place, and then a little fruit will form. Not something that we can eat, I don't think. It might be slightly pomegranate looking, and then a new potential rhizogum or Rhizosum zambiziacum will be formed. I don't know what pollinates them. I'm going to suspect an insect, and I think that because of that purple lining you can see underneath the anthers, that will reflect ultraviolet, and that will pull in a whole lot of insects. Quickly, Jeffrey, you wanted to know, has the sausage tree flowered? It has not flowered. I'll tell you more about that now. Let's go across to Tayla. She's got some dancing birds.
This is quite amazing. We're watching a pair of Burchell starlings. Look at them here, and it looks like they're doing a little bit of a display, doesn't it? It's quite interesting. Now, unfortunately, there's not too much difference between... Oh, well, one goes. I presume the other one's off as well. We've got a third contender. Now, there's not too much difference between the males and females, unfortunately. I suspect the ones we were watching could have been two males, maybe competing. And off that one goes, just sitting there. Off they go. That was quite interesting, and a very quick little glimpse of a breeding display of some Burchell starlings. Now we've come to the Gowrie Dam. We're just having a look here. Oh, right. While I have carry on looking around you, let's go to James, who's found his spotted cat.
Everybody, Brian and I saw movement in the dark in the bushes, and we thought, hooray, there's a duiker. But it wasn't a duiker at all. It was Karula and the two babies. Here they are. Marvelous. Now there will be some activity on the Game Drive channel, I just warn you. Oh look, they've got so big. Oh, and I can see the male is much bigger now, you know. I'm going to stop here, we'll see them move through the bush here. That's, I think, well that's Karula definitely. I think that's Xongile next to her, and behind, getting much bigger now, is young Hosana. Now, I don't know if they're going to go into this rather thick block. It looks like they might just keep walking along here. Look how perfect their colour still is. Yeah, look how stocky he's got. By stocky I mean sort of muscly, if you like. Oh look. That's too wonderful. Hi guys, did you miss me? Not at all, I'm sure, but anyway, I missed you. She doesn't look that fat. She seems to be eating very well apparently, but she doesn't look that fat. Well, she's the queen. It wouldn't do to have the queen wandering about like a blimp, would it, Brian? What a stroke of luck, that's marvellous. They're walking past the Mapani pomegranate, and it's quite lucky they didn't step into me. Unfortunately, she is now, of course, heading towards the south. And the south is where we don't want her to go. Oh, how very special. He, of course, looks very corpulent indeed. He's a fat little fellow. He's getting very muscly indeed. Oh, look at them chasing each other. Sorry, we can't get quite a view yet. just go through. There's a bit of a clearing up ahead here, which hopefully they'll come into. I think they're going to go into this thick bush here, but that's alright. We should be able to follow them from here. They've crossed the main drainage line. Let's just wait here. We'll let her walk there. Hello, Jeffrey. You want to know if they are just walking or actively hunting. Jeffrey, at this stage I would say they're just walking. Where they're going I don't know, why they're going I also don't know, but I would have said right now that they're just having a bit of a walk. I'm not sure. I don't think they would be there's not much for them to hunt around here, and if they were hunting, Jeffrey, they'd probably be a little bit more careful about their movements, and they wouldn't be quite so obviously in the open. There is the queen watching after her babies. Isn't that wonderful? She could be hunting. She might have spotted something there. You see where she's sitting there with the tail flicking up and down like it is. She's basically giving a little bit of a surrender to the birds around the place. And of course now, with this beautiful light, she just makes the most perfect picture, doesn't she? One of the great advantages, of course, of being in the Mara was that we borrowed an amazing lens. I'm back to using me old lens now, so I'm actually going to have to concentrate quite heavily on taking my pictures. Let's move a little bit forward with them. This is fantastic. Oh, and the lights just got so gorgeous. She's walking back towards the road. What I don't want to do is get into a situation where we're only going behind them if they're going parallel with the road, so I just kind of want to give them a small opportunity to show us the direction they're going. I might give her the queen these flowers, Brian. Yes. Do you think she'll like them?
Of course.
Who wouldn't? Exactly. Yeah. She's still moving parallel with the road, but it's getting quite thick in here. Ephraim is going to go along the road and see if he can't keep up there. But I'll tell you what's interesting, Jeffrey. I say that they're not probably actively hunting, but they aren't moving on the road. And Karula does move on roads when she's just moving from one place to another, so yeah, they could be looking for something through here, you know. The fact that there was absolutely nothing left of the duiker that they had yesterday tells me that perhaps there was a little bit of hyena activity in the area, and maybe they're still a little bit peckish. Bumpy, I'm afraid, everyone. That is the way of things out here in the woodlands, especially after a drought where the elephants have made a fairly horrendous mess. They've gone straight back towards the road, so we didn't need to make all the crunchy. They've got so habituated, these little cubs. We will try and get a nice view now. Here's the little female coming up behind, little Xongile. Wait there for her. Look. Hello, Patricia. You say, are these cubs big enough now for them to be able to ensure their survival? There's no insurance of their survival. There's no assurance of their survival either, Patricia. And yes, the older they get, every single day they get older, the chances of their survival gets better, especially for the female. For the male, not so much. He's now actually got a higher chance of, his safety is greater than it will be in, say, a year's time when he's starting to be forced off on his own. Once that starts to happen, again, he will be faced with a threat. But right now, because they're with their mum, she's hunting for them. Watch out here, Brian. We should be right. Because mum's hunting for him and looking after him, and he's not exhibiting any kind of territorial behavior. I mean, obviously he hasn't hit puberty yet. And what that means is that, I've lost them now. What that means is that he's completely safe in her territory. She, when she goes independent, will set up a territory next to her mum's, and she'll be surrounded by her sisters, and the amount of threat that she will feel from, say, Tundi and Shadow will be minimal indeed. But he, of course, is going to have to go further afield and take risks. He's going to have to fight for territory. Alright, while we try and figure out where they've gone, Taylor's got another elephant, so let's go and have a look at that.
That's all we seem to be finding this morning is lots and lots of elephants. It's quite a big breeding herd that's spread out over this drainage line. We're now on Hyena Road. Like I said, we're bobbing and weaving. And just a quick update before I get into these elephants. I came up a Gowrie cut line and I saw those hyena tracks that were very fresh, possibly from the same hyena that was seen chasing Geraldine away, or Geraldine was chasing the hyena away, and then the same one that was seen at the dam. But it did cross out of our traverse, however, and another ranger confirmed that those lines definitely did cross north, as I suspected. And as their tracks obviously told us. So that's no good for us. Now there is an elephant hiding behind there. It's amazing how just a thin layer of trees can completely hide the elephants. Look at that. You can just see them spotted everywhere. Well, that's very far away, but they seem to be feeding in our direction. But we all know that elephants take their time. There's absolutely no racing. But I go... Excuse me. Sorry. I did a big sneeze. I chased that elephant away. That elephant obviously didn't like my sneeze very much. Went racing off. Sorry, elephant. I didn't mean to scare you. You know, you can't hold back a sneeze. But let's go forward again. They're now moving a little bit further south. Maybe we will catch them up ahead. I think we will. Turn that radio down a little bit. Right. Elephants, come out, wherever you are. Everybody's hiding away. They're in some very thick vegetation. We're going to get some seriously... maybe you can see the rump of one disappearing up in the distance. Now, we've all been complaining about how dry it is and that there's nothing around. And when are we going to get rain? Now that we've had rain and everything is starting to flourish again, this is what's going to happen. Is it's going to start to make it quite difficult for us to see the animals unless they're in the open plains or on the roads where it's nice and clear. But we will make do. As long as the animals are happy, we've definitely seen an improvement. Barring the elephant we had this morning, the elephants seem to be a lot more relaxed now, which is very nice. I think the fact that they've got all this lovely lush vegetation to eat is calming them a bit. They're not so stressed. There's quite a bit of water that is filled up nicely in all of the pans now, so they're very happy about that. But let's carry on, because I don't know if we're going to get another view of these elephants. Perhaps there's more. Now, I've seen elephants on this side and I've seen elephants on the other side too. Maybe we'll get to a point where we can see them again. But for now, the bushes are just too thick along this drainage. Now this This is getting scary now to start walking again. In winter it's nice because you can walk just about anywhere you like, especially when you're trekking because it's so open. Oh, we've got some white crested helmet shrikes. Let's see if they're going to stay there. There we go. There's a white crested helmet shrike for you. They're funny looking birds. Now they are gregarious. The rest of the flock is all over. Oh, and off they go. Well, that must have been my cue to send you back over to James and Karula and her cubs.
Hello everybody, sorry, there they are. Very nice to see them again. I'm just not sure, I'm just trying to figure out if... Here they come. Just trying to figure out how much time we have here. She's still moving, he is not. There we go. They're moving through the bush here. Oh, it's wonderful. There's some impala seen her. You can hear them shouting. A bit of a clearing up ahead, and Brian and I saw a duiker in there. Hello Michael, you're wondering why it is that Karula is not quite as fat as her offspring. Is it because the duiker wasn't sufficient to feed them? No, I think the duiker was sufficient. Well, I mean, what is sufficient? They could always eat a bit more. I'm sure she's giving them a little bit more than she perhaps eats, but also they're just that squat shape. They're kind of, that's the shape that they are, and so they will get slightly fatter than she. You see them, Brian?
Yeah.
Are we in the right place?
Yeah. But I think they're moving further in.
Should I move in a little bit? We just move in here, everyone. Let's see if we can get another good view. And you can see them, Brian. Wait here? Brian says, wait here, everybody. Oh, there they are. Beautiful. Well done, Bebop. Ah. Hello, Queenie. Hello Emma, all the way from Brisbane, Australia. You say, when do the cubs leave their mum permanently? She's coming straight towards us. This is wonderful. Emma, they'll leave the male probably around 18 months to 2 years. The female could go any time from 8 months, and of course they turn 8 months tomorrow. But it's unlikely that it would be that early. Normally sort of 14 to 15 months the females will go away from their mum. Can be up to 2 years. Oh, it's wonderful stuff. Isn't she beautiful? So the radio is going ballistic in my ear, so if I sound slightly distracted, that's what it is. I think they're going to probably cross to the south, but who knows? The babies, especially the young male, who I think is slightly golder than Xongile. I think Hosana is slightly golder than Xongile. That's quite an interesting one. And he seems very keen to have a bit of a lie down. whereas she seems much more intent on investigating things behind her mother. Shamsun, you want to know what the chances of Xongile's traverse area, Xongile's territory being within our traverse area are. Very, very small indeed, and in fact you don't want it to be. So when he sets up a territory, you want him to be away from here so that he can spread his genes to leopards that are not related to the ones here. Oh, Xongile, sorry, yes, sorry, not the male. So Shamsun, very strong in fact that the territory of Xongile, the little female, will be close to where her mother's is, so probably could easily be within our traversing area. I got confused there between Xongile and Hosana. This is a pity, I'm running out of battery for this magnificent sighting. That's deeply irritating. There. Now, was I correct? Is that the female? Or was that the male? No, I was wrong. That's the male. She's with Hosana there. Unless I'm much mistaken. 3 on this side. And 3 on the other. And I'm just looking at the other one. That's just wonderful. Isn't that beautiful, everyone? And they're panting like that not because they're tired, because they've been eating. He's been making a bit of a pig of himself. So cute. Hello Wendy, you say, will these cubs attempt to take down a duiker on their own? I think at this stage, Wendy, they're probably still a little bit small to be trying to take down a duiker on their own. But they certainly will start to kill birds. They'll kill things like francolins, no problem. Possibly the odd dwarf mongoose. It's certainly around about the age that Sindile was starting to whack the odd dwarf mongoose. The birds have all calmed. It's just a beautiful, beautifully perfect day this now. Them playing there. It's so nice to see Mum playing with the little son. Especially as I think we've seen relatively little play behaviour, you know. And Brent said yesterday this is what they were doing. Mum was playing with the cubs. And he said the best leopard sighting he's had here since quarantine in Gunuma were, well, not quite, they were probably a little bit older than this, but round about this age, I guess. Hello Michael, you say you've read about leopard cubs becoming... Oh, look at them lying together there. Sorry Michael, I will get back to you. You say you've read about leopard cubs becoming weary of vehicles once they leave their mothers. Michael, I haven't experienced that myself. What I can tell you though is that once they leave their mothers, remember they are going to by default be slightly less confident than they are with their mums. And that's simply because they don't have her protection. And so they will be more nervous until they've established themselves. There they are playing with each other now. That is wonderful. Now, I don't know how long we're going to have here, everyone. We might have to move. Because I think there are a few other vehicles trying to get in here. You can see how dainty she is in comparison with him. there. Now the easiest way, if you're wondering how it's possible to recognize them quickly on sight, what you can see there, can you see that little, what I call her Cindy Crawford mole? She's got just above there, just above those 3 spots, she's got a 4th, and that's how I see that. And also, of course, her eyes are slightly browner than his. And now you can very clearly see when they're sitting next to each other that he is much larger than she is and much more solidly built. And this sort of sibling friendship, if you like, will not last, unfortunately, into adulthood. They will eventually become relatively antagonistic towards each other, and hopefully he will move away. It's always sad when they do move away, but of course one must let go, Brian. One can't keep them at home forever, you know. They must get wings of their own. She's got such unusual eyes, which are behind that knobthorn tree. See her eyes there, Brian? Yes, they look amazing there. They will look almost like the thorns of a knobthorn tree. Ooh, she's stalking her mum now. Mum obviously knew she would look. Oh, it's so sweet. Can't believe we've run out of battery on my camera, everyone. I can't take pictures of this. I'm going to sneak slightly forward because I think we'll be able to get a slightly better view. Robin, we get this question relatively often, and I think the answer is about 5 months, but I might be wrong. You say, when do they get their baby teeth? At least lose their baby teeth. I mean, they get their baby teeth very quickly. Yeah, when they lose their baby teeth, Robin, I think is about 4 or 5 months. Okay, she's just giving us a little bit of a hiss there, saying that's close enough. So we'll stop right here and just enjoy from where we are now. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. I cannot believe my cameras are out of batteries. Here comes the male again, he's stalking his sister. It's very important. Just while we sit here very close to the leopardess with her 2 cubs, we must remember that Karula can become intolerant of this is, I have to agree with Brent, certainly one of the best leopard sightings I've had here. I'm just speaking to Aubrey, everybody. I'm just going to move back, everybody, because Aubrey can't see properly. And it's very nice to have this sighting, but I need to make sure that everyone can see. We'll just move a little bit. It is very thick in here. Rad. Ah, Stefan. The leopard is now moving, of course, but at least everybody has got a bit of a view. There they are there. Get out of your way. Oh, this is wonderful. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but you can see that the greenery there is standing out against their coats, whereas when there was no greenery at all, and they were walking purely through this kind of very dry, drought-stricken landscape, they seem to be much less obvious than they are now. Oh, wow. So special. Now, the question is, where are they going? And how thick is it going to be when they get there? Alright, while we figure out what's going on here, let's head to Tayla and a very tall animal like Brian.
You are quite right, James. We are watching the tallest creature of them all, a lovely big giraffe bull. You can see him just looking at us through those trees. Now he's a fine specimen. He's probably the darkest giraffe I've seen since we've been here, or since I've been here, sorry. He's still fairly new, and he's beautiful. Been seeing lots of male giraffe. Only a couple of females. The boys seem to be dominating the area at the moment. You can see him hiding behind that wattle. But he is almost black in colour. He is so dark. Hopefully he'll step out for us and I'll be able to show you. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? He's got plenty of testosterone pumping through his veins, obviously, turning that coat a lovely dark shade of grey. And I always say tall, dark and handsome. That's very true out here in the African bush. The darker they are, the better the genetics. And it's quite busy around here. I've heard lots of branches breaking in the direction that the giraffe is now walking, so I presume that there's some elephants around. I saw some inyala and kudu passing by. Now, if this giraffe carries on walking, we may go around, and I suspect we could bump into it again because the road does wind that way. Let's try and catch up with the giraffe. Let's go around, and let's see if we can get another view of him, possibly with the sun in a better spot. And I'm going to be very excited to see the sun. It feels like it's been forever, even though it was really just last night that I didn't see the sun, but I definitely missed it. Oh, I can see the elephants too now. Let's go up and over this bump. Go, Wendy. Rev you nicely so you don't stall on me. Right, now where's everybody going to come up? I'm just going to position myself in an area where we can see a little bit of everything. Oh, there's the giraffe. You got him there. Should I go back a little bit more? Okay. Now, the giraffe is there, and I did see one elephant, probably about 30 meters from behind that giraffe, so I suppose they won't be here, they won't be gone for too long. They should pop back out, and maybe we'll actually be able to have a look at an elephant for longer than about 30 seconds. Normally they're the ones that stick around all the time, but the giraffe seems to be doing that today. And I want to show you, if you go all the way down his neck to sort of where his withers, he's got, there we go, can you see that that mark on his shoulder? That scab. Now, that's either from rubbing. Maybe he had an itchy spot and he was rubbing up on a tree. Or it could be an old wound as well. And when the giraffe fight, they use their necks and they swing them quite viciously at each other. And they can cause quite a bit of damage. Beautiful, munching away. Now, we know that all these trees that they prefer, so most of the acacia species, armed with lots and lots of thorns. It looks like it was eating on a little knob thorn too. And the function of the thorns is not to prevent the animals from feeding on them. It's just to slow that browsing rate down. And then it also allows them it allows the giraffe to have to be quite careful where they sort of pick from, as to avoid that, so they don't get all the leaves off of a stem. But if you don't have any thorns, then normally you've got a chemical defense in the form of a pheromone. So something like the tannins that we always chat about, that the guarri trees and the silver cluster leaves are all full of. And when that giraffe sticks its tongue out, maybe we'll see a little glimpse of it. You'll notice that it's black, almost like a purpley black, like a chow, the dog's tongue. And that's also so it just doesn't get sunburnt. Remember, they're sticking it out quite a bit. And if they had a very pink tongue, that would unfortunately get quite sunburnt. So it needs to be nice and dark. And also it's nice and tough. I don't think you can hear the crashing of the branches, but I think those elephants may appear not too long away now. They sound like they're right behind that giraffe. They're coming here slowly, but I cannot believe how much greenery has popped out in the last few days. It's like a different world out here. So I think in a month's time, if we continue having these little drizzles, these little spouts of rain, the bush is going to be very thick already. It's quite difficult to see through here. Well, we're going to hang around for a little bit and hopefully these elephants decide to pop out. And while we do so, let's go see how Karula's cubs are doing.
There you can see the size difference quite clearly. The female on the right, the little male on the left. Hosana left, Xongile right. And the great queen, patient, brilliant mother, coming up from behind. And we've been talking about doing these what we call roll-ins. I mean, we do these little clips during the TV shows where we give those who are to the uninitiated, we give them an idea of what we see every day, like you're seeing here. And one of the themes we're following at the moment is the success of Karula versus the rather tragic life of motherhood that Shadow has had. And I think it's just amazing to see the difference. This leopardess is quite something. She's raised so many youngsters, these two doing very, very well. And remember, let us not forget there was a stage when we thought they were dead. There was that crazy stage when we hadn't seen them, we hadn't seen her tracks around, and we thought these things were dead. And they're far from it. They're very, very well and very alive. And this brilliant leopard coming out into the open now has hunted, fed them, looked after them, about to climb onto the bonnet, feeling a little nervous. She's eyeing Brian. Of course, Brian much more of a meal than I'd ever make. So wonderful. How cool is that? No matter how often it happens that a leopard walks that close to me, the feeling of it just never goes away. Yeah, they're going to go south, everyone, I'm afraid. But we've had the most fantastic sighting of them. We'll keep following them till they go across the border. Having a little bit of a drink in the mud. Okay, Brian, let me try and get us a little bit closer in. Oh, she's drinking. Now, often leopards drink for a long time. So we'll try and get you a decent sighting of that. Of course, I will not be taking a picture of it on account of the fact that I didn't bring my other battery and therefore deserve to be thoroughly beaten. Thank you. Kirsten says she'll take some screenshots. Thank you very much for that. And all of you can do the same, of course. You don't have to worry about batteries. Not quite close enough for me to use my cell phone. Look at the little white tail tip, the little surrender tip. And flick, 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 as the birds call. That is muddy water, everybody. That is basically a little bit of diluted buffalo dung is what they're drinking now. Just to make sure that we're all appreciating what we're seeing here, there are 3 leopards in frame right now, live, in the Kruger. I think that is remarkable, and it's always necessary for me to remind myself, and possibly you, of that as well. I think we become quite almost complacent about it sometimes. Wet feet. That is fantastic. Just like a house cat, they don't like to have wet feet. They of course are very good swimmers, very adept swimmers. It always amazes me the efforts that we as human beings have to go to teach our children how to swim, and these little leopards, well, if you were to toss that thing in water now, it would swim absolutely fine. It's just gone to the loo in the water that they've been drinking. That is disgusting. No, don't drink out of that pond. Shoo. So just, you weren't looking, but the female looked to be drinking out of the same pond that her brother had just relieved himself in. This is fantastic. And everybody, I think this is going to be probably the last shot that we get of them. I have just heard that Tundi is on Gari Main Road, and she might be viewable from the road on the way to Cheetah Plains. What that means is that we might actually be able to see the youngsters, which I don't think we've met yet. So if Tayla is around there, I think we should probably, given that I'm not sure she's even met Tundi yet, maybe she can pop along there if she'd like to. Otherwise we'll have a go. And it's just west of the Molwanini. Well, she'll know that. She would have heard it on the Game Drive channel. But I think it's definitely worth one of us going to have a look, because I don't think anyone's met her cubs yet. Well, we haven't. Right, I think that's going to be it from Karula. Let's have one last look. That was the sign of triumph I was giving that other vehicle. There were one or two half-hearted smiles and my exceptional sense of humour. You see that, Brian? They didn't seem to be particularly impressed by me, did they? No. Some might say unimpressed. Oh well. Can't please everyone. Right, we're now on the Gari Main Road. Can you still see the leopards, Brian? I can see one lying there. Shall I go back a bit? They probably will. Oh, she's ducked down, They're hiding. Something's going on. Look at them running away here. Something's going on up front. They've turned and run. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to try and assess what's going on. That was Karula. She turned around and slunk away. The youngster didn't move at all. Oh, it's baboons. Two big baboons coming across the road behind you. I'm saying behind you. I'm pointing at the guests over there. There they go. That's what she was moving away from. Look now, they're moving away. The little cubs are moving away now. Now, many of you will have heard that leopards eat baboons. They do, but a big male baboon like that is a massive threat. They're now hightailing it away from the baboons. I don't think the baboons would give chase, Oh look, they're running across the road there. The female's just gone across the road. I'm not gonna stay too close, everyone. They're now running at high speed. Now we're gonna give them some space, and they've clearly decided that those baboons are going to be much too much of a threat. And of course a big baboon like that will be a much better climber than them. And if they were to be isolated on their own without the female, a big baboon like that could do damage, especially if he's in a big troop. I've only seen 2 or 3 of them crossing the road though. Wasn't that cool? Listen, they're calling, they're shouting now. Karula's just slunk across the road as well. That was very cool. There they go. They know something's up. They can smell the leopard, I'm sure. I think that is just fascinating. There was a huge baboon that was the first one that came across there, and she was not taking any chances. And interestingly, it's normally young males that go for baboons. They're the ones that take much more risk than the females do. And it's only when they're young that they think, well, you know, they've got that sort of exuberance of youth, and they take on young baboons. And after that, they decide there's easier stuff to go for. There's another one. Let me move, Brian. Sorry, I'm getting very difficult for us to decide where to face yet. I think Karula's probably still slightly visible. But let's go and have a look at these baboons, because we don't see them often. They're wonderful creatures. There, they're coming now to the right-hand side. Let's ease our way in here. There's quite a big troop now coming away from the leopards, which is good news. There's a tiny little one in there. You see that, Brian? Look, the female with very little ones. Very little one there. Running because there's a vehicle doing 786 kilometers an hour coming this way. Sounds a little bit like Sebastian Vettel. Wonderful. Alright, let's carry on. Well, that was a marvellous, marvellous leopard sighting. Let's continue on our way. They will be able to watch Karula now. And we will continue and see what else we can find. I'm just going to ask Kirsten if indeed Tayla is going to go towards Tundi before we decide what we're going to do. Brian's got another view. I'm just going to go back a little bit here. There is the big baboon sitting there. Look at them there. Isn't that cool? They know there's a leopard around here somewhere. They can smell, I'm sure. They may have even seen them running. But the leopards are a safe distance now. They'll be fine. Alright, let's head across to Tayla, get an update from her, find out if she's going to go to Tundi. If she isn't, I will.
Right, now you've obviously all heard about Tundi, and I've just checked about that sighting. There's about 17 million vehicles there. Obviously I'm exaggerating. However, I think we could be on a standby for about 2 hours before we get into that sighting. And we've got a wonderful roadblock over here. Can you see this nice roadblock that the elephants have created for us? Now this one, unfortunately, I cannot move out of the way with my vehicle. It's a little bit too big. Or Wendy's a little bit too small. So we need to come and chop this one up and move it away. But you can see exactly why they wanted to push that tree down. Look at all those roots that are now exposed, and you can see they've munched quite a few of them off. This has happened quite a while ago, and so we need to actually get out a chainsaw and come and chop it. But good for the elephants, at least they had a little bit of food. Now they don't have to worry too much about eating all the roots. But we need to go around, and around we shall go. I'm still listening to see if anybody's followed up on those lions in Buffelshoek, because it would be really nice if they could come back outside. Maybe we've just missed them. So I'm going to go a little bit further north again. I'm going to just double check. I'm going to start from the end of Cheetah Cut Line as far east as we have got that junction going to, and then we're going to go, oh my goodness, sorry, I did a little hop, skip and a jump over that bump, and then we're going to go back west. I want to double check that cut line and see if they haven't snuck in somewhere else, and if we don't get lucky here, then perhaps we will go back and just check that site where I went a little bit further in before I got distracted by hearing those zebra alarming. And maybe we get lucky and we pick up something on that side. So that is our plan for this morning. So I am just listening to the radio, because it sounds like there's a few of the rangers that are quite interested in trying to find out where these lions are. Right, just check over here. Nothing around here for the moment. But I'm wondering what they've done. I wonder if they have killed a buffalo. I'm only obviously speculating. We only saw their tracks crossing north. We haven't seen anything coming back yet. And I didn't see cub tracks. We just saw the female lion's tracks going over. And we know that's obviously what they do when they go hunting. They leave the cubs behind and then off they go. So perhaps we have still got a chance, because if they have made a kill, they will need to go back and fetch those little ones, and we could see them moving in between, and they're quite far south, so it should take them quite some time to go back and navigate through all that thick vegetation. So I think we're going to just carry on and do loops around there in hope that we possibly pick them up on the move. I'd love to go and see Tandy. I just don't think we're unfortunately going to get into that sighting. But it sounds like she's got 2 kills, so possibly we'll be able to follow up on it this afternoon. And you know, we go out nice and early and we beat all the traffic. So I think it's exciting. I think we've got something to look forward to for this afternoon. And I also heard some rumors about cheetah. Now, they said they didn't find anything, but they were searching far and wide. So perhaps if I'm driving this afternoon, I suspect that I may be, I'm definitely going to be going to Cheetah Plains. It's very busy that side now. All the rangers have gone far east, and I think we started a little bit late to try and go and get in there. So it's nice to start on a set of tracks instead of trying to pick up on people have driven over them and, you know, squash the tracks, and they're not whole anymore, and they can make it quite difficult. So this afternoon I think we'll be hitting Cheetah Plains hard and see what we can pick up over there. It's going to be a nice day. The clouds are opening just a little bit. You can see the sun peeking out over there. There's those light rays, which is good, and the clouds have lifted quite high now, so I don't think we're going to get any rain at all this morning. But wouldn't it be nice if we got a lovely thunderstorm just at the build-up towards the end of the show this evening? That would be really nice. Really, I'm sure you would all love to firsthand see a wonderful thunderstorm. Unless you were watching on the dam cam last night, then you could have possibly seen a little bit of lightning and heard a few
black screen, Brian. Did you hear that?
I did.
Apparently we are live now.
Wonderful.
Hello everybody. We are still going along the Gowrie Main Road. Very thankfully, Brian and I said nothing naughty while we didn't know we were live. And now we're going to hopefully find something else entertaining. We're going to go towards It was a black-headed oriole, which I've yet to get a decent picture of on screen. We're going to go towards Treehouse Dam, not Treehouse Dam, what's this one called again, Brian? Twin Dams, and see what we can find over that side. Maybe an elephant or two, or maybe a buffalo. It's got colder, I think. Brian has got a blankie on. I should have brought a jersey, I didn't. I thought it was summer, what with it being the 1st of October and all that. There is a call of a bird I have not heard for a little while. Call of a bird I have not heard. You get that, Brian? Yes. It is a crested bobette. But where is it? There it is. It's gone now. Friendly birds, I find. You got it? Ah, there it is. Yellow and red and black and white and orange. He is a splendid fellow. And again I say to you, I entreat you to appreciate the coordination of a bird leaping about in branches like that, without banging its head, not getting its wings stuck, diving down, catching on with its feet, hopping up, flying up through those branches. The coordination is absolutely astounding. When you consider the feebleness of the human being and our ability to jump around and balance, we call people who can do what that bird's doing Olympic gymnasts. Tayla is back up, everybody, and she's had a migration going on.
James, not quite the migration that you saw, I'm afraid. But we've got a starting migration. We've got one very big wildebeest, and we've got some zebra, and of course we've got a fork-tailed drongo peering closely over the two different species. And it's very unusual to not see a fork-tailed drongo in hot pursuit of the insects that are being sort of chased out of the grass as these mammals walk through and kick up all sorts of goodies. Now, it's quite funny how we always see a group of zebra and then only one wildebeest. I find that hysterical. And he seems to be very comfortable with himself, and he doesn't mind being the only one. Now, if you're wondering why he is alone, and if you've maybe just started watching the show, welcome. And we are live, so you can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can comment on YouTube, and you can even send questions to questions@wildearth.tv. Now, the reason why this wildebeest is alone like this is that he marks and defends the territory, so he has to wait for the lovely ladies to come to him, and there don't seem to be any around at the moment. But he has found some zebras to keep him company. And what I would like to do, though, is I'd like to reverse a little bit before I continue, just because they're getting out of range now, and then I will carry on telling you about these two wonderful animals. Right, practice reversing. Come on, zebras, don't run away from us. Okay, I'm going to try and get a little bit further behind them. Yes, nice, look at us. Now, we're seeing a lot of the short grass coming through, and hopefully when we get a good amount of rain, that grass is going to spread its roots and it should get quite long. In some areas, especially if there's yellow thatching grass around, it could get to up to 1 meter in length. Now, we don't want too much thatching grass growing. It's not very palatable, and not too many animals eat it. Actually, I don't think really anything eats it. However, the elephants, I must tell you about the elephants. It probably seems bizarre that I'm going to talk about elephants, but we're looking at zebras, but it will all make sense in a moment, I promise. So the elephants are responsible for coming through and turning those long grasslands that I was just telling you about into sort of medium-length grasses. And then you get animals like the wildebeest and the zebra coming through, which don't mind the medium-length grass, and they will then shorten it further, so that animals like the rhinoceros and the buffalo will come through and eat the nice short green cropped grass. And there they are. So you often always see those animals feeding together, and if you go to areas, for instance, like in the Mara Triangle in Zambia, I used to see it a lot, where you would see things like zebra and wildebeest and waterbuck and elephant all feeding together, with the elephant leading the way and everything else feeding just behind it as they shorten the lovely big open areas. There they have massive open areas like you saw when James was in the Mara. Some of those areas can be a few 1,000 acres in size of lovely just long green grass everywhere. We unfortunately don't have too many areas like that. I think Cheetah Plains possibly has the biggest plains that we see. You can see them quite happily munching away, swishing their tail though, now that the cool weather is slowly starting to disappear as that sun peeps through the clouds, so those insects must be back. They must be biting away. And we saw a zebra without a tail the other day, and I felt quite sorry for it not being able to swish the little biting midges or biting flies. But we're going to carry on with our plan, and I apologize for disappearing earlier. I don't know what happened. Those gremlins got into Wendy, and we're still making our way along Cheetah cut line towards Buffalo's Hook cut line, so we can start getting on the search again for those lions. And in case you did miss it, I'm not sure what you didn't hear, but there was some talk now on the radio of lots of buffalo tracks coming south, but they look like they were possibly running. And now that to me sounds like there may have been some lions chasing a buffalo. Buffalo don't run from too many things. Now if they have made a kill and we have not seen those lions come back, they need to come back to fetch the cubs at some point, so we could still catch them crossing back into our traverse, and we know where those little cubs have been kept. There you go. The reason why I'm not going to the cubs though is they're still a little bit young to be, in my opinion, to be viewed on their own. So I'm going to just wait until there is definitely an adult presence. I mean, I can always poke my nose in there. However, I don't want to disturb those youngsters because they are getting quite curious, so they will come out of their hiding spot, which they're not supposed to because mom has told them to stay there. But of course, if I come bounding through crashing branches, it's obviously going to cause a bit of excitement. I'm just listening very quickly. So it sounds like they've got more tracks in Buffalo's Hook. Now, I don't think it's too far away from the boundary. They seem to be going west. I think it's a good idea that we're going to stick on the cut line and go straight west. And I'm going to try and find out, a bit of corrugation. Sorry if your screens were rattling there. Very bumpy along here. VM's trying to hold the camera on and it doesn't fall off. See, with Wendy's new tires, unfortunately, they need to be pumped up a little bit harder than the old ones, so it does create a little bit more of a bounce. Now, while I continue the search of the elusive Nkuhumas this morning, I think let's head on over to James and see what he is now up to.
I'm having a boat ride, everybody, and the thing that Brian and I have noticed about the boat ride, because of course Brian has also just returned from a long sojourn away from Juma Private Game Reserve, is that the jackalberries are playing winter. You see that, Brian?
I do.
Yes, they've lost their leaves. That one that we were watching, the one with the twisted trunk down at the bottom near Twin Dam's, got no leaves on it anymore, and they are of course semi-deciduous, meaning that they lose their leaves sort of intermittently throughout the year, and they'll come back very quickly. So this tree won't be bare for long. But isn't that interesting, as all the others are getting their leaves, so the jackalberries are losing them. Now that's quite a clever plan, because what it means is it reduces competition. Not so much for this tree, because this tree is on its own, but as a young tree, remember the jackalberries are normally growing in fairly thick bush, and so while the rest of the trees of the area don't have leaves, they do, which means that they don't struggle to find light. And that's one of the great limiting factors of a forest plant, a forest tree, is that there's not sufficient light down on the ground for them to grow up. And here, of course, that is avoided by having leaves during the dry season when there are no leaves on any of the other trees, and so there's no shade on them. And I think that probably just persists into adulthood, which is really quite clever. And of course, you can't do that in many other parts of the world, because in the winter time, it's not only is it dry, it's also very cold. And that's not a limiting factor here. So as long as the roots get down to the water system, which often they do because they're often on drainage lines, the jackalberries, well, then the winter's actually not a very limiting time at all. Isn't that fascinating, Brian?
It is amazing.
Are you overwhelmed with a sense of fascination? Overwhelmed. Good. Now, watch your head here, because you're very tall. I don't need to worry about my tall. There we are. Well done. Good job. Let's keep going up here, I think. Maybe there'll be some wild dogs around the corner. I don't know why I said that. I have no reason to believe that they'll be around the corner here. Ooh, but there's a butterfly. Let's see if it settles. Because if Brian does try to follow that, that will be like trying to follow the sunbird, only worse. It's a citrus swallowtail. I may just have to show you a picture of it. I'm watching it. Doesn't look like it's going to settle, does it, Brian? In fact, it looks deeply agitated. Ooh, maybe. You're going for it. Well done, Brian. Stout, brave fellow. It's in there, everyone. Not only is he going for it, he's going to super zoom it. It went in there. Okay, let's go a little bit forward. I will show you a picture. Tell me if you see it, Brian. It will fly out if we get too close and become agitated again. I've forgotten the sardonic nature of Kirsten, the director. She keeps saying things like the suspense in a sarcastic fashion. Brian, I think it's gone. This is a potato bush, a phyllanthus bush, but I think that the citrus swallowtail has gone. Let me take out a picture of it. I will use my new butterfly guide, Brian. I know it's in the normal insect book, but I want to use my new butterfly guide, so I'm going to look it up here. It'll probably take only half an hour to find.
Wonderful.
Yes, very wonderful. This butterfly book has got 7 million pictures of butterflies. I can't find it. No, come on now, Henry. Don't be so useless. Here we go. Nope. I can't find it in that book. Let me quickly show you in an easier book. Here we go. I can't even find it in this book. There it is, I've got it now. There, the citrus swallowtail, Papilodemodocus. That was it there. Right, from one yellow and black thing to another yellow and black thing with Tayla.
We have had a number of giraffe roadblock today. Not that it's a bad thing, it's actually quite lovely. And look at their beautiful patterning on the coat. Now, this is another male giraffe, not the same one that we saw a while ago. This seems to be a much younger chap. You can see his colouring is not quite as dark, and he still needs to muscle up a little bit. He looks good. And he's very happily eating very close to my vehicle, which is wonderful. It actually looks like he's been given a little bit of a beating. We can see he's got quite a few battle wounds. If you go down his neck, you can see all those patches there. You see them through there. And then if you go down towards his legs as well, his front legs in particular, we'll go down, it's a long way down. There we go, you can see there. So perhaps he has been in a few arguments. Maybe he thought he was bigger and stronger than what he actually is, and perhaps tried to take on a big bull like we saw earlier, and got kicked around a little bit. You can see all those ticks there. You can see how the ticks always live in the little creases, you know, in between your elbows, in between the groin, the warmer areas. That's their preferred spot. But this giraffe doesn't have particularly too many ticks on it. Now, having lots of ticks doesn't mean that you're unhealthy. It actually can mean that you're quite healthy, because if the parasites don't want to eat you, then there must be something wrong. But he's really towering over this tree. You see, no problem feeding on the tops of these leaves. Now we're able, because we're nice and close, to zoom right in. Okay. This tree hasn't got any thorns on it, of course, so he's able to utilize his tongue a lot more, stick it out long, wrap it around the tree, and then pull back and strip all the leaves off. Now, if you've got thorns, unfortunately, you're unable to do that, and you have to pick very carefully between the leaves. Like I said earlier, it's slow. The thorns just slow the rate at which the giraffe feed on. But in this case, when you don't have lots of thorns, and I don't think bush willow particularly have very much tannin in their leaves, so I haven't tried one myself, so I should probably try one. We've even got a little drongo again. There he sits, right next to the legs of the giraffe, quite happily feeding on all the little insects, and it seems to be quite productive. There's lots of little grasshoppers and an occasional butterfly and as I said that, off you go. Okay, bye. I thought you were doing quite well this morning. Right, James has got his butterfly. Let's go before it flies away.
Brian found it, everybody. There it is, the citrus swatterdale. The citrus swallowtail, not swatodale. Citrus swallowtail Paphiodemodocus. It's quite nice to say Paphiodemodocus.
Paphiodemodocus.
There we are, Paphiodemodocus. It also makes you sound clever, even though you are not. Which is well, you might be, I'm not, of course. I need to find ways to make myself sound clever. Paphiodemodocus. Papilio. Demodocus. There we are. I found it in the other book, everyone, and the picture of it that I did show you didn't look very yellow and black at all, but you can see the butterfly itself is yellow and black. You may also have noticed its proboscis flapping in the wind. That proboscis used to drink the nectar of flowers. I'm just going to see if I can find out exactly what they like to eat. And interestingly, the larval food, so the food that the cocktails, I've lost my mind. The food that the caterpillars eat is often Xanthoxylum capensi, which we do get here. That's something called a Cape. What's it? Xanthoxylum capensi. Never mind. And also Teclia. Teclia natalensis is a kind of creeper that we get growing here, and it produces orange flowers, and they like to eat that. Gorgeous, gorgeous butterfly. Not uncommon at all, in fact very common. Right, I think that's enough of a Paphiodemodocus. I think I've lost my mind, Brian. Did you notice that? I called that a citrus swatodale.
And then the cocktails that it likes to...
Yes. Yes. Citrus swatodale drinking strawberry daiquiris of an afternoon. It is now sitting... No, now it's flying away. Off it goes. Right, let's carry on. I've never seen a citrus swatodale before. Sometimes you just need to reset a bit, Brian. Now, the other thing I've been noticing is that many of the trees are starting to flower, and one of those is the Combretum herreriense, or the russet bush willow, of which one has appeared just to my right hand side right now. There we are. Now these flowers, of course, somewhat less impressive I find than the flowers of the Mopani pomegranate, Rhizogum zambeziacum. See? One is impressive, one is not impressive. You see that, Brian? Yes. Now we will focus pull to the less impressive ones. Very nice, Brian. That is a piece of art we've just created. You know that?
Oh, wonderful.
That is a piece of art right there, everybody. Brian Joubert, the Vincent van Gogh of the camera world. Right, let's have a look at the less impressive one. Oh, it's blowing in the wind. I'm going to pick a piece. But the principle is exactly the same. There we are. There we are. Now see? And what you can see there, I think those sticky out bits are the... let's get a little bit close. Tell me when you've got as close as you can. I think those sticky out bits, everybody, are the female parts. I don't think they're carrying pollen. I think those are catching. And they're catching the pollen that's coming in the air. But once you get close in, you can see how pretty they are. Little bits of pink, pale yellow, and almost no scent, I don't think. Once Brian zoomed out, I'll have a smell. No smell at all.
That's disappointing.
It is disappointing, Brian. Have a try.
Thank you.
See what he says.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
So that's...
Let's carry on. Ooh, I hear much bird song here, just as a little patch of sunlight crosses over this glade. I think it's one of these little white-throated robins, you know. Oh, it'd be nice to find this. We came across, you know what, I came down this area just before I left, and I heard this bird, and I couldn't find it. I got out of the car to try and find it. You see it anywhere, Brian? It might well be a standard issue, a white-browed scrub robin. I'm going to sit here and see if we can't find this bird, everyone. While we do that, Tayla has got death in the sky.
We've got a Wahlberg's eagle and a very unhappy fork-tailed drongo. You may be able to hear it, but I shouldn't say he, because I don't know if it is a boy or a girl, but this fork-tailed drongo is mobbing this Wahlberg's eagle. But the eagle doesn't seem too bothered by the efforts of this drongo. Let's see if we can listen, if we can hear them all shouting. Can you hear that? Maybe a little bit too far away. There's quite a few different birds that are very unhappy in this tree. Come on, dive down like you were just now. You can see the Wahlberg eagle keeping a close eye onto all the birds that are mobbing it. There comes another drongo as well. They're going to do a team effort now. Oh, see there, it keeps ducking its head to try and avoid that drongo from pecking it. Now, it's not that the drongo is going to cause this bird any harm. It's more of an annoyance to the Wahlberg's eagle. It's probably just perching itself there, perhaps trying to dry its feathers like the rest of the birds. But of course, if you eat other birds, then nobody wants you around. They're going to shout quite loudly and mob you. And the drongo must be the most ferocious of the bird species, because for its size, it will chase anything. I've seen them mobbing even martial eagles, which is quite ridiculous. But they will. They are brave characters. Check the Wahlberg tilting its head completely upside down, sort of just saying, hey, they're having a... Well, the drongo is shouting away. Probably not saying very nice things. and the Wahlberg's eagle is not responding vocally. It's just giving a death stare, though I think being stared down by an eagle that's easily 10 times your size must be quite intimidating. So I don't know if the drongos are brave or just stupid, because they could turn around and do quite a bit of damage. Where's your head go? Oh, it's looking up. That's why I couldn't see it. Now he's getting really upset with this drongo. I suspect that in a few moments it could just fly away, because we heard this shouting coming from quite a distance now. So I think this whole conundrum has been going on for quite some time. I hope you can hear that drongo shouting about. Awesome. I know it's a bit difficult to see with the white cloudy sky in the background. It's not the easiest. There we go. You're going to dive again. No, going up a branch. It's like they fly up a little bit higher so they can get a bit more momentum when dropping down. I think that seems to be a little bit more effective coming from the higher branches. I also saw some buffalo up ahead, which is quite exciting because we never see buffalo anymore because the kahumas eat them all. So after this we are going to just head up across the road. Let's see if this drongo is going to give us one more dive. No, it just seems to be shouting quite a bit. But nevertheless, the Wahlberg's keeping a very, very close eye this morning. How beautiful that bird is. Lovely eyes. Beautiful. Oh, there we go. Did you see that little flash of black on the top of your screen? That was a drongo. And it almost got its head. Almost came lucky. Now, I'm realizing that these raptors have got quite a bit of patience because of some patience. If somebody did that to me, I would be very angry and very upset about after the second time that was done, because then I know it's intentional. This little one, this Wahlberg's eagle doesn't seem to mind. Look at the drongo getting very brave now, just sitting inches away from the Wahlberg's eagle. Now, I suppose that eagle needs to be careful because you can see all the thorns from the knob thorn. And you wouldn't want to wave your wings too much, or flap them too much, should I say, otherwise you're going to rip them. Right, I think this is going to go on probably forever. Let's carry on up ahead. That was a wonderful little show, but I really want to show you some buffalo just in case you've forgotten what they look like, seeing as we've only been seeing the dead ones lately. So let's carry on a little bit further. Good luck, Wahlberg's eagle. I hope they leave you alone. They didn't. The drongo called in for reinforcements. I saw some more coming in to pester the Wahlberg's eagle. Okay, I've got the buffalo in sight. Now, I wonder if they haven't come down because the lions have chased them. We've been seeing quite a few tracks of buffalo running south onto our traverse. I think the lions were really busy last night. Now, I know that a few of the guides are still looking and still trying to get onto the tracks of those lions, so to make sure. But it is proving extremely difficult, even to the locals who have been tracking pretty much their entire lives are saying that it is quite difficult with all this. Oh, I need to get onto the fire break. Trying to track with all this rain that has covered the footprints. Right, oh, we might have a gap here. Oh, hang on, can I just show you our friend the zebra in front? Now, we saw this zebra the other day. This was the one I was telling you about that has no tail. Can you see that? She's got a little stump. That's quite funny that I was just talking about the zebra this morning. So that's Stumpy, and that's the one that's lost its tail. I'm quite glad to see that he made it through the night and survived. It didn't get eaten by the lions. But let's have a look at what a really big buffalo looks like. We're going to do a bit of chopping and changing. I'm parked on a little bit of a hill. So a few of them coming through. Now that buffalo is going to the toilet. As you can see, he's multitasking. Not wasting any part of the day, making sure he's got his head down, grazing all that lovely green grass, as well as going to the luxuries at the same time. You can see him munching, very much enjoying all this nice green grass that's coming through. Now, it seems as though it's a bachelor herd that we've got here, just some Duggar boys. I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, and there could possibly be a few more coming through as well. They look very relaxed. They don't look too startled. But this is the first time that we've seen the buffalo coming onto our property, onto Djuma, for at least a week now. Now, with that being said, that can only mean that the lions were chasing the buffalo around. It's just another bit of evidence that we can add. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. And that's what the lions are going to do now, is they're just going to follow the herds of buffalo wherever they go. Like James says, the lions are going to start to move around a lot more. Because there's grass everywhere. There's water all around. There's not any need for them to just sit and wait for the animals to come to them anymore. They're going to have to work a little bit harder. But we've got another buffalo coming out in front. Maybe we can try and catch this one. I mean, go forward a little bit. I think we'll get a good view. And there's some oxpeckers. I'm definitely going to be looking out for some yellow-billed oxpeckers on these buffalo. I believe Brent saw one. Hang on. What footprints do I have here? Please be hyena. Thank goodness they're hyena footprints. I was getting very nervous that it was the lion track. Sorry, it was very difficult for you to see. It was the lion tracks that were going north, but luckily not. Not the little ones. Here's a nice view of a buffalo. Now this one looks like it's lost a little bit of weight. You can see the hips sticking out quite a bit. Well, that would have been a great meal for the lions. His horns aren't too sharp. He's definitely an older boy. But perhaps with all this greenery coming through, he'll be able to put some condition on and make it back. You can see the ribs showing, hips sticking out, the oxpeckers feeding on all the lovely ticks that are congregating around the rump. You notice how they weren't going for the big ticks either. They're going for the finer ticks that are in the hair of the buffalo, and then the yellow-billed oxpeckers will be picking at those larger ticks. Well, while I carry on, I'm still searching for the Nkuhumas. James has also got a feathery friend for you.
My feathery friend has flown away, everybody. It was a southern boo-boo, one of my favourite birds, because it goes... which reminds me of Christmas, because they call all over the Eastern Cape. Now, just up ahead is a fairly large herd of kudu. And the kudu, I think, are looking pretty ropey at the moment. But I think this rain will help them to put on some condition, as will, of course, the fresh leaves that have come with the advent of the spring and, well, soon the summer. I'm just going to ease my way along here, because unless we get quite close to this, there we go. Now, by ropey, I don't know if you can see what I mean from this particular picture, but she just looks skinny. Skin not in great condition, fur looking a little bit sort of moth-eaten. But she'll start to pick up condition now, and I believe that everything else has started to pick up condition as well. One thing I have to say I'm rather worried about, apparently there may be a little bit of mange in amongst the Nkuhumas now, which is very distressing indeed. So I'm looking forward to seeing them again, especially my little teddy bears, but apparently they may have some mange, which is just not good at all. At least, however, they are eating much better than those Styx Pride lion cubs did, and that means that the chances of them surviving the mange are that much higher. And as far as I'm aware, the Styx Pride have gone from 8 cubs down to 2 as a result of the mange. Oh, there's lots of bird song. You see, as the sun comes out, you may have just noticed the light brightening. Let's listen. That's the boo-boo calling there, you can hear it going. And you've got the ghost bird, the grey-headed bushshrike. Canada, Keith. A nice one from you about whether or not different bird species understand each other's calls. Well, I'm going to use the example of human communication. If you are talking to, say, I suppose a Spanish person, you don't speak any Spanish at all. There are certain universal things that we understand from each other. We understand a smile, for example. We understand a shout of alarm or a shout of fear or a shout of pain. And I think it's quite the same for many of the birds out here. Although, of course, they don't necessarily respond to each other's calls in the same way that conspecifics do. So a grey-headed bushshrike male responds differently to another grey-headed bushshrike male than, say, a boo-boo would to a grey-headed bushshrike normal call. But when they are alarm calling, I think they all understand the alarm calls. So I think that would be the kind of similarity that there is there. See the light filtering through the new green leaves there, it's so lovely, and I'm starting to hear lots of birds I haven't heard for many months. Just stunning. Alrighty, let's move forward. I want to do one quick foray to Buffelshoek Dam before we head back, simply because I want to see it. Then I would have covered all the water holes. It's a nice big male kudu coming across the road. Well, he's not very big yet. He will be one day. He's going into some thick bush. Alright, let's carry on. The weather does seem to be lifting slightly, which is very nice. We'll have a bit of clear, humid air today. Gorgeous time of the year. Not too much in the way of heat just yet, although October can be very hot indeed. But we have had some rain, so I think it's going to be a lot better than it might have been. Ooh, look at that, Brian. It is a Burchell's zebra, as opposed to a Grant's zebra.
Or a Burchell starling.
Or a Burchell starling. Or an elephant, for example. It's different from that. So we have, there are a whole lot more in front of us. Let me go forward. Now, this is quite a nice opportunity for me to compare the Burchells with the Grant zebra. The Grant zebra, the one that we saw in East Africa. And the difference is actually quite remarkable. They are the same species, a slightly different subspecies, but the Burchell zebra is definitely bigger. It's got that very clear shadow stripe. There's a particularly brainless one there. Very clear shadow stripe between the black and white, and also not the same Roman nose. So the noses of these zebra are rather more straight, and in some cases slightly dished. Now, if you've know horseflesh, for example, you'll know that an Arabian horse has got a dished nose. It means it turns up slightly, and the Burchell zebra has got that slightly. Unlike the Grant's, which has a very rounded nose. That's quite interesting. There's a bit of a gale blowing there, Brian. Yes. And they will be loving the fresh grass now. Really enjoying the new flushes. That youngster still full of the exuberance of youth, Brian. Also, we'll be talking about youth a lot during this month, as mine inevitably fades away from me. Alright, on we go towards Beefy's Hook Dam. Kyle, you say, please tell us some stories about my trip to the Mara. Well, Kyle, I think you probably viewed most of the good ones. you know, those crossings were quite something, and I don't know if you saw them or not, but we saw some astounding pictures of zebra and wildebeest and Thompson's gazelles being smashed by those great dinosaurs of the deep, the crocodiles. 4.5 to 5 meters, some of them 15 feet or so in length. Big things of about, well, probably about almost 1.5 tons, 1,500 kilos, about 3,600 or 3,700 pounds. So those were, for me, the most unusual things to see. But also, Kyle, of course, if you've ever watched the film Out of Africa, you can see why it was shot there. It is just, and it was shot exactly where we were staying, actually. It's scenically, I think, probably next to, I mean, Namibia is very different, and I've always said that Namibia is one of the most scenically beautiful places I've ever seen. This is completely different, but it is as awe-inspiring. And not savage, Brian, it is just awe-inspiring. And and there's some elephants up ahead. And so, Kyle, for me the big highlight, of course, was just that everywhere I looked there was a beautiful view filled with animals. Every single place we looked. Let me just go around the corner here. I think we'll get a better view. I will try and think of some other things that maybe you wouldn't have seen while we were on drive, because we did focus quite a lot on river crossings and lions there, because that's what we went there to try and tell. Those are the two big stories of the migration, you see. Now, these elephants are behind some fairly thick bush. In fact, they're behind, well, let's see if we can get a view here. There's one coming slightly closer towards us now. Nice little herd of elephants. Now these are the same elephants we get in East Africa, exactly the same. And interestingly, the lions are not, apparently. The lions are slightly different, much like the zebras. They're a different subspecies, could easily interbreed with the southern African version. But because they've been separated geographically, their genetics have spread slightly, or diverged slightly. Same with the zebras. That's a wonderful picture, isn't it, Brian?
That is the best.
That is the best elephant sighting I've ever had. A bottom. Right, I'm going to leave these elephants. You've had a wonderful elephant sighting with Tayla earlier on, so I think we'll just Tayla. We'll keep going. I really have lost my mind. You've met our other guide, Tayla, have you? Have you, Brian? Have you met Tayla? Steve. Let's head across to Steve now for an update.
So we got some word that we had one set of lioness tracks coming south from Sydney's dam, which is quite exciting. So we're actually making our way straight back to where those cubs were last seen, and we're going to actually go through and venture straight into the bushes in hope that we have maybe found the lions. It's very exciting. The tracks seem to be quite fresh. They seem to be over the rain. So that was this morning. Oh, but hang on, we've got a roadblock of elephants again. Roadblocks seem to be the game of the day. So before we get there, let's say hello to these elephants. It's my friend from earlier this morning, I'm afraid. The elephant that didn't like me so much. I'm just going to give them a little bit of room. It was actually quite a big herd that she was with. I didn't realize it. They just seem to be coming, and there's quite a few hidden in the background. I suppose the animals get right of way here in the heart of Africa. Do we have to just stand by and wait for them? Now, I'm not going to pass her because I know that she was in a little bit of a mood, or she just didn't like me for some reason this morning, so I'm not going to push the boundaries. I'm going to give her space and let her cross the road with her calf. So we'll just have to sit here patiently and watch them, which I'm sure that none of you are too upset about. Any day with elephants is a good day to me, and it's got really cold now. Now, every time I've ever seen elephants, we always see them with one calf. That's sort of quite typical. And I know Trina was wondering this morning, can elephants have twins? I'm not sure if it's been recorded. I don't think it's entirely impossible. I would feel very sorry for that mother, though. Can you imagine two elephant calves that can weigh almost 100 kilograms at... Ooh. Can you hear that? That is a very upset zebra. And this is the same area that we heard them shouting earlier today. So I don't know what's going on. So sorry, Trina. I think it could be possible. However, I have never seen it. Perhaps it's maybe been recorded. I'll have to do a little bit of research. But keep watching. I'll definitely get back to you. Now, I cannot go and investigate on that zebra, unfortunately, just yet. I need to wait for the matriarch to cross the way. And so that we don't upset her too much. So once she crosses the road, we'll sneak through. The entire herd is almost ready to cross. We've got another one coming right up nice and close to us. Hello, little one. You can see that. Oh, that sun is coming through quite nicely now. It's really lovely. Oh, yum. Is that so tasty? Look at those lovely new leaves that are coming through. Eat away quickly before they disappear. You can see this elephant's acting like it hasn't eaten in a long time. It's gutsy. Because you are acting so gutsy, perhaps we could call you Sean. Are you a boy? No, you could be a girl. No, you can't. You could be a Shauna. But that's what my brother does, everyone, in case you are wondering. He eats lots and lots and lots and all the time. Okay, here I am. I'm not going to hide away. I was trying to give you a good view. Let me go down. There we go. Don't worry about me. I'm enjoying this lay down. And as soon as these ellies have crossed, we can go and investigate on the shouting zebra. Oh, that lovely sun that's coming through is so beautiful. But it is cold. The wind has definitely got a chill in it. Thank you. Now that was the last elephant to cross, so we can carry on moving forward. So I think I'm going to pop my head back up again, and we're going to race on towards that zebra that was bleating so loudly. Right? It was nice to see the elephants cross right in front of us, and I'm glad to see that ellie cow has settled down a little bit. Perhaps something upset her earlier today, but she seems to be fine now, which is good. I hope she continues and has a lovely day. No, Wendy, don't start with your nonsense now. You've been doing so well. Right. While I investigate the bleating zebra.
That, of course, I think is the sound that Tayla is hearing. Now, what I noticed there by East Africa, and I don't mean to harp on about these things, but Kyle, you did ask, is that because there are so many zebra and so many wildebeest, the opportunity to learn their behavior in the same way that we learn lion and leopard behavior here, for example, because we spend extended periods with them, the opportunity to learn them was so much greater than it is here. Now, what I found was that sound that they make is often not an alarm call at all. It's them communicating with each other, shouting at each other, or maybe communicating over a distance. And when they're watching lions, they actually snort. They go in much the same way that a wildebeest would. Now, let's have a look in this puddle. Mainly for little water boatmen. I was hoping to find a water boatman or two. That's a kind of insect that looks like it is rowing. There's one, Brian. Right at the edge there. Now, to the left slightly. Right slightly, sorry. And the right down a bit. And that there. Is that a stick or a water boatman? That's a stick, isn't it, Brian?
It is.
Yes, very nice.
Wonderful.
That is a very nice stick in some water.
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness, Brian. Look at that.
That is incredible.
It is an incredible example of the surface tension of the water not being broken because the stick is exactly the right length not to break it. Do you see that?
Wonderful.
It is incredible. And if you were interested in physics, which most people are not, you would know that that is only possible because of the polar bonds that exist between the molecules of water. And that in turn caused, Brian, there's a large bird of prey, thank goodness I won't have to continue with my advanced chemistry lesson on the molecules of water. I believe that to be a gymnogene, aka African harrier hawk, tern bird. Yes, it is. It is a juvenile African harrier hawk. I will not hear any argument on the subject. Good. Well, that was a relief, Brian, to many people, because nobody wants a chemistry lesson while on drive. Most people don't ever want a chemistry lesson. I quite like chemistry, though. Hello, Marianne in Arkansas. You're wondering about the tilapia and how they get through the drought, and are they like the catfish? And we know, of course, that the catfish survive, or many of them survive, I think the smaller ones actually, by creating this slimy film around themselves and going down into the mud and resting there for the course of the dry season. No, the tilapia don't do that. They all died. I remember them dying because the water became too hot for them, because it became too shallow, and they all died. I think that they are reseeded by eggs that are on birds' feet and probably even in birds' feces when the birds come to the water and they drop them there. That's how I think the tilapia get back in there. And I also think that that's how the catfish get into our water, and I'll tell you why now. I just want to go up onto the top here so that you can look at that female bateleur. They're flying. Female, of course, because of the white underneath her wings. Look at her hanging in the breeze. Gosh, it must be wonderful to be able to do that, hey? Just spectacular. And holding on desperately, well, not desperately, but certainly an amazing amount of skill to remain that stable without a tail. And then way above, Brian, we have a brown snake eagle, which I don't think we might get. That is a brown snake eagle. Oh, no, it's Brian, sorry, you're on another one. That's fine, stay on that one. That looks like a tawny. I think that was a tawny, I think. And then there is a brown snake eagle hovering above us. There it is. How cool is that? It's dead still. Dead still, hanging in the air and just turning now with the wind. Now that scruffiness of the feathers you can see is probably a result of a molt. They will molt their flight feathers because of course they don't have any blood running to them when they get very big, or when they're fully grown. The blood and nerves are cut off from the feathers and they're forced to molt them. That's very cool. Now, I know it's a brown snake eagle, everyone, from the fact that the colouring under the wings is paler behind than in front, and if that was an adult brown snake eagle, which I don't think it is, it would be almost white underneath the wings with a brown front part. You can't see that from here with the light like it is. Marvellous. Well done, Brian.
Well done, Jay.
Now, what was I waffling on about? I've forgotten. No, it wasn't the Mara. Catfish and tilapia, that's what it is. Right, now, thank you very much, Kirsten. I think the catfish here don't, in fact, spend a great deal of time in the slime under the mud. And I'll tell you why. I think that the clay at the bottom of our water holes here contracts so much that I don't think anything could live under that mud. So they probably go under the mud, and then when it dries out completely, that clay contracts so much that I think it would crush anything that tried to live underneath it. So I think that's why we didn't see new catfish in the Buffelshoek Dam when it filled up after it dried out last November. Remember, it had water in it probably for, I don't know, about 4 months, and I didn't see any fish come back into it, and I think it's simply because there wasn't sufficient time for it to be reseeded, if you like, by birds coming in. So I don't believe that the catfish in this area, because of that clay, survive underneath the mud. There it is, Brian. Take it or leave it, toss it out or believe it. That was another very poetic phrasing there. You noticed that? You did. That's good, thank you. We did go past Buffelshoek Dam, everyone, and there wasn't anything there. There was some water, but that was it. And this is round about where the ninkapumas were hanging about when I was last here. I'm looking forward to seeing them again, I must say. One does miss our characters, doesn't one, when one is away? Oh, some red-billed buffalo weavers, but I'm afraid they've disappeared. Yeah, let's carry on. Here comes Ephraim up the road. We'll just wave at him. Ah, yeah. They were very friendly. They were smiling, unlike the guests on that other vehicle, which were deeply distressed to see me. Hello, Penny Pine. You say to me, did I leave all the wildebeest on the right side or the left side of the river? Penny, it's difficult to say because it really depends on which direction you're facing. I think the wildebeest will be crossing over the river left and right, north and south, up and down for the best part of the next month. Alright everybody, that's going to be it from Brian and I this morning. We will see you this afternoon. Thank you for joining us and thank you for a very kind welcomes back. Brian, I feel that thumb is too formal for a Saturday.
I know.
You mustn't work on a Saturday.
Everyone has to work on a Saturday.
Well, not everyone, but we do. Yes. Okay, everyone. We'll see you later at what time are we going out this afternoon? 3:30. At 3:30. Until then, bye bye.
So we went in to do a little bit of investigating, and we actually drove on through to have a look if the cubs were actually still around. Unfortunately, they are not. We had a quick little look around and they've disappeared. We couldn't see any tracks, but some of the other guides managed to just pick up their tracks now, and it seems like the entire pride definitely crossed north. And so the cubs' tracks are just a little bit west of us and going just to the east of Sydney's Dam, which is quite sad, which means that they've made a kill that side if they came back to fetch their little ones. And that bleating zebra that we heard, I found it. It was walking back into the thicket, and sorry, I'm just coming undone here, and he was calling and calling. It was a stallion, and he just on his own. I suspect that why he's shouting so much is because he may be lost. Maybe he's trying to find the rest of the herd, and that's why he's being so vocal. Well, he better be careful. He's on his own. If I was on my own, I wouldn't make too much noise at all. But that also solves the case of the bleating zebra that we had all morning. Right. Oh, there's a little kudu over here. Can we get a nice shot of you? Let's see if we go a bit forward. There's a kudu disappearing into the distance. Where's the rest of your gang? It looks like it's got a slight limp. Yeah, a little bit of a injury. Nothing too serious though, just a slight little limp. Possibly from running. I'm sure Mom is not too far away. You can see that little one can walk quite well. However, if Mom isn't too far away, it's obviously just providing a meal for another animal and that could eat. Right, let's carry on going a little bit further forward. Whoa, that was close. We almost had to push Wendy home. Come on, Wendy, you could do it. And while I'm unfortunately going to have to go to the hospital today again with Wendy, and I need to take her to the emergency room right now. So I hope you had a great morning with all of us. Thank you so much to all the lovely ladies in Final Control, and welcome back, Kirsty. And I'm going to show you a present that Kirsty got us this afternoon, all the lovely lady. But we will all see you a little bit later on this afternoon. So from myself and VM, hope you had a great morning, and we will see you soon.